and welcome to the MinnMax Show, a place about games, friends, and getting better. I'm Ben Hansen, joined by Anna Diaz.
Hello.
Welcome, Leo Vader.
Hello.
And welcome, returning champion, freelancer Jill Grote.
That's me.
Welcome. Let's see, the last episode you were on, we were trying to wrap our minds around Assassin's Creed Valhalla, like right at the announce of that one, right?
Yeah, I think we just watched that Xbox, the first third party, with all the creepy alien weirdness.
Oh yeah,
going on.
Yeah. Remember that? Remember when that was all we had to talk about with the Xbox was how gross that weird H.R. Geiger phallus was, and now we're lost in a sea of console wars. Weird times. We have a lot to cover on this week's episode of the MinnMax Show. Look. It's not the Game of the Year debates. It's not the 210s, but this episode is about 210s. We're making 2 top 10 lists.
I thought it was me and you, 210s.
Yeah, no kidding, dude. But first is going to be the games we want that don't exist in the game industry. And then the second, we're going to talk a little bit about roguelikes and roguelites and rank the top 10 greatest of all time with the help of the MinnMax community. And then, of course, we have fun community questions coming up after that. Let's set this table before we dine on a sweet podcast, everybody. If you came here looking for a hot take on the Smash DLC, the new fighter, that is on our YouTube channel, which you can subscribe to, youtube.com/MinnMax Show. We'll have a reactions video there where we'll talk all about that. And if you're looking for the hottest of hot takes on Crash Bandicoot 4 and Star Wars Squadrons, both out this Friday, you can stay tuned to next week's episode. Leo, rank your interest, speaking of 10s, scale of 1 to 10, for Crash 4 and Star Wars Squadrons.
Crash 4, 3. Star Wars Squadrons, 6.5.
Okay, and how much of that 6.5 is because of the full VR support?
6.
Okay, there it is, everybody. I'm looking forward to both those games a lot, so it should be a fun discussion next week. But this week, it's no slouch, everybody. We should talk a little bit about this game that came out, free-to-play game, came out Tuesday. It has captured the world's imagination. Everybody's talking about it. Presidential debates. They can't stop raving about it. Genshin Impact. This is a free-to-play, open-world, single-player, and co-op game. Very inspired by Breath of the Wild. That's kind of, when it was first revealed and PlayStation started pushing it, I feel like everyone was saying, oh, it's that Chinese Breath of the Wild. I don't know what that thing is. Now it's out. Leo and Anna streamed it for the Great Goaty Hunt. Leo, what is this thing and is it good?
Well, 2 very different questions. It's Breath of the Wild is the easy point of comparison everybody's been making. It's a very pretty, pastel-y, green and blue open world with, you got your combat, you got your elemental combat, you got your fire monsters that you put out with water attacks and what have you. There's climbing that's like Breath of the Wild, but kind of slower and doesn't look as good, and there's gliding, which is like Breath of the Wild, but kind of slower and doesn't look as good.
Oh.
It's clear they're inspirations here, but what they are doing differently is a ton of gacha mechanics. So you're buying rolls at new characters, and more dopamine, more leveling up all the time, more picking up 100 million resources.
More waifus.
More waifus. The waifus have been cranked up.
Interesting. Yeah, I saw somebody on Twitter. I sent out a poll just asking for people's reaction. If you want to take part in these polls, by the way, you can follow us on Twitter. It's MinnMax Show on Twitter as well. Just asking what people thought about it so far. 45.9% say it seems okay so far. And 21% say the free-to-play stuff sucks. 22% say, wow, it's great. But Alex Mallory responded to the tweet just saying, like, if you expect Breath of the Wild, it's not exactly that. There's a lot of numbers, a lot of meters, a lot of currencies, a lot of gacha stuff. Like, it feels like a very messy version that was inspired by Breath of the Wild in some ways.
For sure. I described it on the stream as Breath of the Wild with the creativity cranked down to 2 and the dopamine cranked up to 10. And I think that sums it up for me. It's like totally not a bad product as far as how the combat feels and everything, but it's also hard to not have like a little bit of a moral issue with it. It's a little bit of like taking Breath of the Wild, which I consider to be a really like wonderful piece of art that has had a great impact on our industry, and kind of using it for ill-gotten gains.
But I mean, if you're looking for a free-to-play game, it's on PC, PS4, iOS. Like, Anna, do you think it's a good alternative for folks?
I mean, okay, on the gacha
like speaking to that, I was sort of poking around, and it looks like folks have gotten through like 20 hours of the game without like needing to like roll any characters.
That's
and so
crazy.
like obviously they're trying to get folks to play longer than 20 hours, but I think like as far as like a free to play game goes, and like it's like, you know, it's free, it can be played on a whole bunch of things, and like if you can get like 20 hours of gameplay without like feeling the pressure to roll or like to pay anything extra, I mean that's a good value.
Yeah, I think it looks pretty too. I just played like through the opening essentially, but you know, you got your stamina, you got your climbing, that's kind of some of the Breath of the Wild stuff, but visually, at least on PC, I think it looked great overall. So it's weird to see this is the year where the Breath of the Wild inspired games are coming out in full force, and by that I mean we have two with Immortals, the Phoenix Rising Ubisoft game, and now this, where it's like, okay, it's nice to see the industry take from the greatest.
On the stream, I coined the term wilds like, and I think it's a great term because it's so confusing because we don't know if we're talking about Breath of the Wild, Outer Wilds, or Everwilds.
That's a perfect term, nice and confusing.
So I just love the idea of coining a completely useless term. So you heard it here first.
Yeah,
Trending.
Leo, any chance you're going to keep playing Genshin Impact?
I uninstalled it already.
All right. I might keep dabbling around. I just want to understand it. It's such a weird game to have like on PS4. It feels like a very PC game. So it's amazing that Sony had that partnership, but it's going to be coming to Switch later as well. But hey, Jill, how are you? What have you been up to?
I'm doing good. It's early in the morning here, not so much there. But I'm ready. I'm bright. I'm bushy. I'm feeling good.
Wow.
Since I was last here, I started as a gaming news writer for Screen Rant, so that's good.
Oh, congratulations. What is that like?
Yeah. It's fun. I mean, it's funny because writing news for Game Informer and writing news like for other places, you have to get out of some habits that you have.
Like?
Because things are just different. It's just a different way of doing things. They have like all these, it's always the little back things that people don't see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of cats.
Oh, I thought that was a snake. Here's what I've noticed about Screen Rant. They'll have a very good headline. They're very good at tweeting out very catchy headlines. Then I'll click into the story, and usually the first 2 to 3 paragraphs are just backstory nonsense. I have like trained myself to scroll down to like, okay, the core of this news story is going to be about paragraph 4. What's going on there?
Oh. There is literally like a structure that we write in. So like that is a difference between Game Informer and like Screen Rant specifically, is there is a structure that you are supposed to go through and make sure that people have background information so that no one, like, you're not supposed to be writing for the Ben Hansons of the world who know everything. So you're supposed to be like.
Was Screen Rant's audience like non-gamers? Like, is that actually serving?
Well, I mean, sort of, because I mean, Screen Rant attracts people primarily for like TV and like movies and that sort of thing. So they kind of want to make sure that we're not thinking that that's the exact audience.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it nice to be completely out of the freelance game? Or are you still doing some freelance on the side, or is it all Screen Rant?
Like, I would be doing freelance, but 2020 is a hard year. So it is kind of nice to have that day-to-day checklist to have to kind of keep you settled. And I want to keep doing things, but a lot of things fall through and you can't meet with people and you can't go to conferences and that sort of thing. Yeah,
it's going to be a tough time to be a freelancer. I can't imagine. Hey, Anna, in our Monday meeting, you brought up like, hey, we should really stream Among Us, the game from 2018, the social deception game that has risen through the ranks and it's still dominating Twitch, dominating discussion. And a part of me was like, I don't know if we should. Everybody's streaming Among Us, but it's just a good reminder.
I pitched it hard.
I know, like, just do the popular thing, and it turns out it's a great time. So we streamed it. It'll be up on our YouTube channel probably by the time you're listening or watching this. We had a huge group. We had 9 people of friends of MinnMax. It was fun to have like this collection of a lot of folks. Imran Khan joined us. Jason Daphnis, producer of the Crossfade podcast. A couple of guests from Refreshed. It was a good time. Among Us is so strange. I'm trying to think of another example where just a game from like 2 years ago can suddenly explode like this. Has it ever happened in the industry?
What's that one? The shooter. The
Shoot
Escape from
Mania.
Tarkov.
Oh, Tarkov. Yeah, but even that's like still early access. You know, at least there's some build up to it. But just the idea of this, Among Us was out, came out 2018. They were working on the sequel. Now Among Us has blown up because of Twitch, and now they've canceled the sequel because they're like, well, just keep updating Among Us. But I love that like Game Informer just posted a review for it. Like, I think that's a very fun idea of just like, you know what, we missed this game in 2018. Now let's actually slap a number on this sucker.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a mix-up with GOTY lists this year, to be honest.
It's going to get messy. Yeah. But Anna, I take it you love the game based on your reactions to the stream last night?
Yeah. I mean, like, I think it's so fun. I grew up playing, like, Mafia-style games, so, like, whodunit, like, in non-video game formats.
Right.
And as far as, like, video games go, there's another one called Project Winter, which is, like, kind of similar, but, like, harder to learn, more complex, more expensive. And so I think it was like super exciting to see like this more accessible game like take off. And it's fun because like it answers, you know, with Animal Crossing blew up and there are a lot of people who are interested in it, wanted to get into it, bought Switches to play Animal Crossing. But for Among Us, like it is actually bringing in like so many new sort of like gamers, at least to video games, because like they can just download it on their phone. And so like
it's free, yeah.
Like it's fantastic. It's so lovely. I'm like, I want to take everyone in.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like, I love social deception games. I mean, with every round of Game Informer interns, we played Avalon. Jill, we played with you, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
good.
We did.
Yeah, I love Avalon. I like Secret Hitler. And so Among Us, it seems tailor-made for me. There's a level that's inspired by the thing. It's like, oh, it's everything I need. I don't think I love it. And I don't know if I'm just being a snob. Leo, where do you stand on Among Us?
I think there's a lot great about it. I think the mini games are super cute, and it's a great idea to have all these different little tasks that everybody's doing. And I love how accessible it is, and getting people on board to play an online deception game is like so cool and so perfect for right now, obviously in quarantine.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's the most mechanically interesting deception game I've played. As far as how the discussions go, it feels like they're always kind of, it's a lot of just being the most convincing without having a ton to go on.
That's it. I don't think it's
totally fun.
Why would you say that?
Yeah, we were all nailing it last night. I feel like, I never have, and this is probably just, being a rookie, but I never have great data to go off of. I never see something that's good ammo. Like every discussion, I feel like I have nothing to contribute. It was like, somebody ran by me 2 minutes ago. I don't know what hallway I was in. Sorry. And again, I'm probably just being an idiot, but Anna, have you played enough to get to the point where you feel like you're able to dial things in, actually know what to look for, know how to trick people?
So here's what I'll say is that, the game is at times it's interesting because it's bringing in a lot of people, but it is deceptively hard in that like you need to play a little while to sort of like, again, like be cued into looking for the right things. Like Leo, I looked back at the VOD. I'm sorry. You did vent that one time. So you did come out of nowhere. So like, but that's something
at that
like,
point, I didn't even know that monsters were the only ones who could vent.
Yeah. So like, but that, for example, was like, I only saw him on my screen for like a split second. And it was like, oh, okay, like I knew the map, so I knew there was no other way that he could get there. So it's like, okay, obviously he's the imposter. Or I have a pretty good hunch that he's an imposter. First, like 2 days of playing, I would not have gotten that. And it is like one of those games that it can be hard to play with folks who have been playing it more, or the game is best played with equal sort of skill level. And like everyone knows each other IRL.
Right.
Is what I'd say is best.
Yeah, and I think that's part of it is like knowing them from the real world too, because I feel like playing so many social deception games when you're all in the same room, it helps so much. And so like just going over Discord, it's like, well, Leo's been quiet for 30 seconds. I guess that's damning. Whereas before I could see him sweating like a banshee over there.
Yeah.
Mopping his brow.
Well,
yeah, exactly.
And the audio is funny because Sarah Pods was like, oh, wow, Anna, like, you're such a good liar. Teach me how to lie. But, like, I can lie with my voice, but not with my face. And so if we were in person, everyone would, like, see me smiling and, like, giggling and, like, But on Discord, I feel like I have, like, a layer of protection. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to be super sneaky.
Right. Mm-hmm. It made me want to go back and play the game from Jackbox Party Pack 6, which was Push the Button, which I loved Push the Button. And I feel
don't like Push the Button.
Oh, why not?
It is too hard to learn. I think it is actually harder to learn than Among Us.
I agree. That could be. So I like the idea of you're answering questions, though, and then you have to come up with a reason for like, wait, I know that person did not answer that the way that they should, so they're a little bit off. And some of the rules and logic, like where it flips who's getting what prompts, can get a little bit messy at times, but I feel like I've had a much better time in that very Avalon style playing Push the Button, and I hope that game is getting a little bit of a resurgence as well, too, instead of just Among Us. I don't know.
Yeah, I do love Push the Button, for sure. I think it is a little more complicated and certainly one of the more complicated Jackbox games.
Yeah, for sure.
Just introducing it to a group, but that has some great payoffs. I love when somebody gets caught like having to pitch why their favorite show is Family Guy.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that actually reminds me of the Jackbox Party Pack 7. It's coming out, I think, October 15th. It's coming out soon, so hopefully we can stream that at some point soon, because I've been in the dark on this one. I don't even know what's going to be in there, so it'll be fun kind of going in blind to what they have queued up and how much they've adapted the development for quarantine, if they've been pushing online even more, but they've already been doing a pretty good job of that over the last several. But okay, Jill, we normally wait until Thanksgiving for giving thanks to the game industry, but you know what? In a backhanded kind of way, that's what this episode's about, because just thinking about like all the Hail Marys that we've received in the game industry, things that people have been clamoring for decades that we have actually got, like a quick list: Baldur's Gate 3, Final Fantasy 7 Remake, even going back to like Sonic Mania, Rock Band 4, Shenmue 3, a good Tony Hawk game, a Pokemon Snap sequel, Mega Man 11 if you want to throw it in there, Prince of Persia Remake, I know that's controversial, a new Battletoads, a new Skate. I feel like these amazing projects that everybody's been screaming about, a lot of them have happened, and it started to make me think about what's left to want in the game industry. What are like the big things that have not been announced that people are demanding? And I thought it'd be fun if we all work together to make a top 10 list. And so it's going to be us working on this. Also, we have folks in the Backstage Pass watching us live at that $10 tier. They can watch us create this list as well, tell us exactly what we're getting wrong, what we're getting right. But the floor is open. Let's just open it wide open here. Like, what do you think is the most desired unannounced thing? The games that we need to exist?
I feel like I'm in a group project right now.
I know.
Like staring at a Google document, like, okay.
What do you think?
I just interrupted the flow.
No, you're right. What do you think is the most desired thing from the game industry that doesn't exist or hasn't been announced so far? Does anybody have a contender so far?
Splinter Cell Stealth Planet.
Splinter Cell Stealth Planet. I think that's up there. Just a new... Now, the VR game, does that put a wrinkle in this at all?
People won't consider that a real one. It's like how people still want Half-Life 3, right?
Right. Yeah, and honestly, Half-Life 3, I mean, It's cliche, and we have Alex, and it looks like it's pointing towards a Half-Life 3, but that is still on this list in a big way.
I would say there's no question at this point we're getting Half-Life 3.
I am totally with you, especially reading the final hours of Half-Life Alyx. It seems like everybody in that team's like, well, now we know how to make a Half-Life game, a winky. That was like, 3/5 of that entire final hours thing from Jeff Keighley there.
Bye for 20 years.
See ya later. I was shocked. So I tweeted this out, also posted it in the Patreon exclusive Discord about what games people want. A game came up repeatedly that I did not see coming. And Anna, I think it's your cup of tea.
I'm gonna say Mother 3.
Oh! That was not what I was thinking of, but yes, Mother 3 actually came up a lot, of course. But Sonic Adventure 3...
Oh, okay.
Came up a shocking amount.
Okay, another third.
It's a lot of threes throughout this list, but I was amazed that there is just this groundswell of, we need Sonic Adventure 3, which might be a good sign of where the game industry is at.
Yeah, I'm surprised. Yeah, I mean, like, that makes sense. Like, I never thought about wanting that, but I have, like, gone to, back to play Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, like, multiple times, and it is like one of my favorite games of all time.
Yeah, there's
so,
a lot of people.
Not?
Yeah, you're not alone. Okay, people in the Backstage Pass. Travis Brinkley has a biggie. Portal 3 also up there. He lists new Rockstar IP. That's interesting. It's the first time I've seen that get brought up. I mean, certainly stuff like GTA 6 I think deserves to be on this list, even though it's inevitable. Yes?
Yeah. I mean, not to throw a wrench in the works here, but is this a list of top 10 sequels?
It's interesting. I think a lot of this, when you say like, what do you want from the industry? A lot of people are just screaming, I want the sequel / I want to feel like I'm 11 years old again.
Right. You don't really know what you want.
Well, because with the new IP too, you don't know exactly what you're going to get. So you can't know if it's going to be up your alley until you have it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. That said, I mean, some people did say Ueda's next game, now that he's gone on Gen Design, split from Sony for Last Guardian, Shadow of the Colossus creator and stuff. So would that count on this list? Ueda's next mysterious project?
Yeah.
Great.
Sure. I think definitely Rockstar's new IP from Rockstar would count.
Okay. Yeah, let's do it. Rockstar new IP.
I know when the Bethesda stuff hit, a lot of people were shouting out Fallout New Vegas 2.
Oh,
that would probably be a big one.
Yeah, you're right, Jill.
We could just say like a Fallout Return to the Roots.
Other than Outer Worlds, but I think Fallout New Vegas 2 is a nice shorthand for exactly what that audience is hoping for.
Very true. Yeah.
Totally.
Right. I mean, Bloodborne 2 has to be a big one.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's cracking, I bet. Top 4, top 5, something like that. Pokemon MMO. Yes. Sure. That's got to be up there.
Yeah.
I know I have one for me.
Please.
Specifically, I don't know if that's going to make anyone excited, but I'd like to see Eternal Darkness remake.
Remake?
Yeah. I know they were trying to do like a sequel at some point and that all went fizzle, but at this point it's a very old game. It's at least a decade old.
Yeah, for sure. And there was that spiritual successor that Silicon Knights was trying to get off the ground and kickstart, and then it just kind of fizzled out. I don't believe they're actually making that thing. Okay, now
no, I don't think so.
People in the Backstage Pass, now they're speaking my language. Jake Twitchin has Warcraft 4, which maybe it's not this crowd's cup of tea, but there is that audience out there screaming for Warcraft 4 for another RTS. Bob Buell, Chrono Break, the legendary sequel to Chrono Cross, or just a new Chrono game. I think that's also just, Chrono Break is a nice shorthand for that, right?
I don't know if this counts as being announced, but I know they sort of talked about there would be another Witcher game, but not The Witcher. Does that count? Because it's not. We don't know what the game actually is.
Yeah, it's weird. I feel like that's almost like in that GTA 6 territory, where it's like there's something with people demanding a game or just craving a game to exist when it's less likely. Whereas like a new Witcher game or a GTA 6, it's like, well, we assume it'll happen at some point, But yes.
Yeah, I feel like if it's just top 10 games we want, then yeah, that line's probably blurry. But I think it is a more interesting list to have the more wild card options.
Right. The thing that, when somebody announces, hey, big news coming up, it's like, oh, they're going to announce another 2D Metroid, which I think is on this list. Even though not enough people played, not another Metroid remake, or Samus Returns, I guess was what Nintendo's version was called. Let's see. Where do you think Twisted Metal is on this list? A new Twisted Metal. I'd like to see it. I think it's somewhere. Okay. Okay. Towards the bottom, that's fine. Jake Twitchin, Backstage Pass, also has a biggie, KOTOR 3. I think that absolutely deserves a spot.
That's a good wild card.
Yep. F-Zero. I think Star Fox. Yep. They're nailing it. Oh boy. I think another huge contender here, the Mass Effect remaster. Jeff Grubb on Twitter has been teasing this thing, saying it just got pushed to 2021, but technically not announced, but in theory in the works, right? Yeah.
I have been thinking, I don't know if the chat has anything to say about this, but like I have been left wanting in mobile games. So like this is more general, but like I would really like, I don't know, like another game like 2048 that's like really fun and really easy to play and that I can play on my own time,
So adding on the list is just a good mobile game?
Yeah, I guess we got good Sudoku. So maybe, which is supposed to be really good.
Good mobile games. Did you ever check out Apple Arcade or like Grindstone, anything like that?
I don't have an iPhone, Ben.
Oh, you're a smart person. I see. Okay, good mobile game. Done.
For Android, for Anna to play.
Okay, for Anna's Anna droid.
Yeah.
Okay. I think Silent Hill / Silent Hills. That's huge contender. Do you all think that there is enough of an outcry for a Metal Gear remake? Like Metal Gear 1 and 2, some sort of Metal Gear remake. There were rumors recently, which I'm a little skeptical about, that it might be happening. Do you think that deserves a slot here?
I mean, didn't we get a Metal Gear remake for the PlayStation 3? There's the collection.
Well, there's the collection, and then there's the GameCube Twin Snakes remake of 1. But I mean, I want to see a remake of Metal Gear 1 and 2, the old MSX games, so bad. So I'll just put down Metal Gear remake.
Yeah, that's enticing because that's something that they wouldn't really have the chance to screw up that bad if they have that good MGS5 engine and the story and sequences already laid out.
Yeah, that's a funny one where, like, you know, I don't know how many people are clamoring for Metal Gear Solid 6 without Kojima at the helm. It's like, this is going to be another Survive territory, but we can remake those games till the end of time and people will buy them.
I'll clamor for that.
Hell yeah. Burnout. A new Burnout is a correct call from people in the chat. Let's see. Here's a tricky one. Alan Wake 2. It looks like it's coming. I mean, they have basically all but said, yes, it is in development right now. I still think it probably should be on this list somewhere. With the new Control DLC, I feel like they are getting so close that it might as well just exist. Mega Man Legends 3. Still desired out there.
Sure.
Okay, and not in this room, other than from me, Dragon's Dogma 2. Big contender. Let's see. I'm going down the list of things that everybody was screaming about. Oh, SOCOM. A new SOCOM. There's a fair number of people demanding that, which is fun. New Time Splitters. New Perfect Dark. Those are bundled together in a cute little package. New SSX. New Monster Rancher. Of course, Anna, which I know you have to get back to the original ones. Final Fantasy Tactics. Those fans are clamoring. Okay, other things people brought up that are big contenders. Yeah, Bloodborne 2. Banjo-Kazooie 3. I think is a biggie. New Advance.
Although we did get that with nuts and bolts.
That is true, but I think people, you know what they demand. Other stuff. Dead Space 4. This is just
4-player co-op this time.
Yep, split screen, no doubt about it. Bully 2, I think is a contender for the top 10.
That would be high up for me.
Okay, great. There's a lot of things like, you know, a new Golden Sun, new ActRaiser. Yeah, Dino Crisis, those fans.
There's a lot more contenders on this list than I expected.
I know, it's crazy when you start to go through this. Left 4 Dead 3. Oh my gosh. Obviously the Hunger Games Battle Royale. We all know that's coming any day now. Titanfall 3. Yeah, you think that we've got everything we could possibly need, but there's a lot of these dormant things. Even like a remake of Final Fantasy VI, some people were demanding. A remaster of Crisis Core, which I think is a great call. Scalebound to come back. There's those fans out there. Jak and Daxter, new Jak and Daxter. I don't think that's cracking the top 10. New Turok, I don't think it's cracking the top 10. Skies of Arcadia fans. God. In terms of like making dreams come true since Shenmue 3, I feel like Sega, Skies of Arcadia has got to be at the top of that Sega pile now, right?
Yeah.
Ooh, new Power Stone people in the chat. Ninja Gaiden. Dang it, Ninja Gaiden, I forgot about you. It has been a while. Okay, let's try and figure out this top 10. We could keep adding these things all day. What is a lock in your mind, Jill? No doubt on this top 10 list of most desired games.
Bloodborne 2. Absolutely.
I think that is correct. Let's just move that to the top of the list. Anna, what do you think is a lock?
I don't know if this is too personal, but I feel like there is a larger thing behind it. Mother 3.
I think Mother 3 is, yes. If you look at every time Nintendo tweets something about a stream, people will demand Mother 3. I think that's absolutely a lock. Leo?
And that's a good, like, we have no clue whether it's happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right,
It is a
right.
very Thai wish.
And it's just the port, right? That's all we want. We're not looking for a remake of Mother 3 and
Game Boy
Bay.
Advance version.
Yeah, just give us the Game Boy Advance version. We'd be totally fine. Oh, Dreams 2 suggests the chat. That is true. Well, so actually, Dreams on PC is a contender, but
Yeah.
Beaten
Yeah.
all the dreams and dreams. I'm looking for the next one.
Leo, what do you think is a lock on here?
Bully 2 for sure.
Okay, I think that's true. Now, where did I put that one is the question. Well,
Third from the bottom.
perfect. I think Mass Effect Remaster is nearing that fever pitch outcry at this point. I think that's a lock. Any other locks people see that we should move up to the top 10?
KOTOR 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. Some sort of return to KOTOR.
I want to throw up that Pokemon MMO too. I know, like, I'm just imagining the and one more thing, and people going crazy over that.
Yeah, and it's so weird because they're inching towards it. You know, they have the wild areas in Sword and Shield. It's like, well, it's an openish area, and you can technically play with other people, but not quite. And remember in the Nintendo Giga Leak when there was like that slideshow for pitching a Pokemon MMO on, it was on the GameCube? Or is it on PC, but it interacted with the Game Boy Advance, and they pitched it for the Chinese system, the Q. Anyways, that's a deep cut. But they have talked about it. They are aware this is a demand.
Well, this doesn't matter for this list, but would they be put off by, they still see Pokemon as a thing? I guess that's supposed to be at least very kid-friendly, and I know they're always worried about their online interactions.
Yeah, I'm sure it is
That's a good point.
a concern.
But they do have that Pokemon League game now. Like, that was announced, and that's going to be online.
Pokemon Unite?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, we haven't heard about that thing in a while.
Yeah, I don't know if that still exists.
Okay, people in the Backstage Pass, let us know. Oh, yes. Okay, so Travis Brinkley is screaming PT. Yes, I think Silent Hills / just a new
PG.
Silent Hill.
Playable game.
Let us know what demands to be on that top 10 list, Backstage Pass. I think Splinter Cell is cracking that top 10.
It's wanted. There was an interesting quote from somebody who works on Blacklist about like play testing that game, where they had all these different play styles of like 90% of testers doing the assault play style and not doing stealth at all.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I don't know if that's misinformation to turn us against each other, but I feel like that's maybe the demand for stealth is not enough to warrant it.
Can you imagine if they release new Splinter Cell and it's just an action game? Like, stealth is not even an option. They're like, look, we looked at the data. You can't yell at us. We're giving you what you actually want here, everybody.
Splinter Cell out.
That's right. I think, has the Half-Life 3 fervor died down with the release of Half-Life Alyx? Do you think Half-Life 3 is cracking the top 10? Or is it just, it is the beloved, it is the classic, and it has to be on this list?
I feel like it's kind of died down.
I think it has too. I don't know if it deserves a place in the top 10 at this point.
It is a quintessential thing that people have wanted and never got for decades.
Yeah? You're saying that makes it deserve a spot on the list?
I don't know. I guess probably maybe not right now. I don't know how many people were really excited for Half-Life Alyx but didn't buy a VR for it.
Right.
And are still like, I haven't done a Half-Life thing.
Yeah.
And just like the generation of gamers now, how many people have never actually interacted with Half-Life?
I think a lot. I think that number is large. I think Fallout New Vegas 2 should be on this list.
Yeah.
And the last slot, we can still fudge this if people in the Backstage Pass are demanding we shift it around. So the option, we have one slot left, and we have Half-Life 3, Sonic Adventure 3, Portal 3, Chrono Break, 2D Metroid, F-Zero, and Burnout. I feel like I know what it is, but what do y'all think? Okay, Jill's shaking her head. She's saying no to all of these games existing, which I think is a bold take.
It's so hard because we have to pick one, and that means all the rest of them are gone.
That's right. Now they're never going to happen.
For me, it's Titanfall 3 out of the rest of these.
Oh. But do you think the demand for Titanfall 3 outweighs the outcry for it,
Definitely
outweighs a 2D Metroid?
Yeah, that's what
I don't think it outweighs anything.
Yeah. I think 2D
Anything else on this
Metroid.
list?
I think 2D Metroid is going to be on this top 10. Like another 2D Metroid. No?
If people wanted it, wouldn't they have played Metroid Samus Returns?
Yeah, but it looked a little bit worse on the 3DS, and yeah, we all owned a system, and yeah, we all say we love Metroid, but that isn't exactly what we're looking for.
I feel like Nintendo feels gaslit about this whole 2D Metroid thing.
Is that the top 10? Are we just ranking these now?
I'm fine with that.
All right. Oof, Chrono Break not making the cut. That's tough. F-Zero. God, actually, between...
I'm okay with F-Zero not being on there.
Well, I'm just trying to think. Wider internet screaming. Is it F-Zero or 2D Metroid? I think 2D Metroid probably takes it.
Of those two, for sure.
Okay. Oh boy.
If this is internet decibel level, this list, maybe we need to reevaluate it.
I think it is internet decibel level. It's our read of internet decibel level.
Yeah.
I think this is solid. Okay, how do we rearrange these 10 now? Right now, for the folks at home, the list is Bloodborne 2, Mother 3, Bully 2, Mass Effect Remaster, KOTOR 3, Pokemon MMO, Silent Hills, Splinter Cell Stealth Planet, Fallout New Vegas 2, and 2D Metroid. I think my own read for internet decibel level, I think Mass Effect Remaster is high up on this list. Am I too partial to that?
Yeah. No, I agree. I think it's 1 or 2.
Great.
I think if Mass Effect Remaster is 1, I think Bloodborne 2 is 2.
I think that's right. I think that's right. Bully 2, God love ya. I think it's pretty far down this list of top 10 at least. Yes?
He's just erased it.
I think Silent Hill, I think, is above Mother 3. Anna, you can take a swing at me at any point here.
I mean, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think
the MMO's lower, yeah. The Pokemon. Because I think because of Temtem, people are like, oh, maybe this is a little too chaotic.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like, I think people want Pokemon MMO, but I think that the shine of it has worn off.
Shine off the apple?
Yeah. That could be. All right, what do y'all think of the list as it stands now? Mass Effect Remaster number 1, Bloodborne 2 number 2, Silent Hills, Mother 3, KOTOR 3, Splinter Cell, Fallout, New Vegas 2, 2D Metroid, Pokemon MMO, Bully 2.
Fallout New Vegas feels like it could be higher.
Yeah, I agree with, yeah.
Should we move it above Mother 3?
No.
Okay.
Below Mother and above KOTOR.
Yeah. And I think KOTOR... I think there's more of a demand for Splinter Cell than KOTOR. Maybe it's because Splinter Cell's been in the news recently, but I think that deserves a spot above that. All right, how's this list looking now? Mass Effect Remaster, Bloodborne 2, Silent Hills, Mother 3, Fallout New Vegas 2, Splinter Cell, KOTOR 3, 2D Metroid, Pokemon MMO, Bully 2.
2D Metroid is very weird to me on that list.
Yeah?
It seems high up, too.
We just got one.
It was like, 2017? 2016? 2017.
I don't know what you're talking about, Leo.
It never happens.
It's like, I agree that they need to put it on Switch or else it may as well not have come out. But if you want a 2D Metroid, play the one they put out 2 years ago. No?
I mean, do you want to swap it out with something else in the freak pit down below?
That's my vote.
Okay.
I can be outvoted.
Well, I think that's an interesting option. Do you see anything down there, Leo, that you think there's more of a demand for?
I'm scrolling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot of oddballs here.
Then you got Skies of Arcadia, Left 4 Dead 3. God, that's loud. A Portal
Left 4
3.
Dead 3 has been a lot.
Metal Gear remake, a new SSX, new Perfect Dark. All right, I'm willing to trade if you got a good contender.
I'll go Left 4 Dead 3 over 2D Metroid. At least it's gets the edge for me because it's so not confirmed, right?
Right.
It's such a desperate swing.
But there's that cool thing where the fans made new levels for Left 4 Dead 2 and Valve gave it the old Valve blessing, which is nice. Okay. And do you think it's number 10? I think
maybe above Bully 2. I want Bully 2 more than anything else on this list, but for gamer decibel level.
Yes. All right. Is this the list? Mass Effect Remaster, Bloodborne 2, Silent Hills, Mother 3, Fallout New Vegas 2, Splinter Cell, KOTOR 3, Pokemon MMO, Left 4 Dead 3, and then Bully 2. Is that the top 10 most desired things in the game industry right now?
Now I'm like, oh, maybe Mother 3 should be under Fallout New Vegas too.
Aha! I agree. As much as I would love to see Mother 3. All right. Is that it, ladies and gentlemen?
Is Backstage Pass chat satisfied?
Let's jump back to them. They've actually lit themselves on fire, which seems insane.
No, that's the fire emoji. That means they like it.
Oh, they like it. Oh, great. Backstage Pass, folks. Oh, Donnie Danico says, so satisfied. There's a lot of screams for Sly Cooper 5. Look, I will put it on the list, but as like a number 27. And I hope that's okay, but it's technically on the list. Backstage Pass, folks, are you now okay with this list?
Because we're going to publish the 30 runners up, right?
Yes, exactly. All right. Great. That's it, everybody. I like that we now have this list. So every announcement in the future in the game industry can be judged by this oh holy list.
We're checking off one after the other.
That's right. We got a lot to do. People seem happy. Awesome.
Wait, before we wrap up, I have a fun question.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Which do you think is the least likely on this list to happen?
Great question, Anna.
Oh, no.
Least likely is Fallout New Vegas 2.
Yeah.
I mean, title for sure.
Especially like the writers have moved on. Chris Avellone, I believe, has been canceled. I think it's a really tough one. Obsidian making a new Fallout, that is the core of it, yes?
I guess. I mean, I could see Microsoft saying, we've heard the outcry from everybody on the planet Earth about Fallout, so we're going to do a project that's back to its roots, and we're going to get some of the classic writers and have a bit more New Vegas-y.
Does Bethesda make it?
Yeah.
It's got to be a joint Bethesda Obsidian thing, right?
Oh my god.
That would just make everybody go insane.
They got them both.
Yeah. Can you imagine?
You two kiss. That's what Phil Spencer would say.
Kiss. I think that's the least likely. But it depends so much on how you phrase that.
I think KOTOR 3 is least likely.
Well, they say that MMO is KOTOR 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, so it's everything you need.
Then KOTOR 9.
And I like Old Republic. Yeah, I can see that. Although, also think about Bully 2 and how much time in the oven each Rockstar game takes now.
Mm-hmm.
I think the idea of them spending 8 years and 4,000 employees' lives on a Bully 2 is not bloody likely.
Yeah, that's true.
I might go Bully 2 as least likely in this list.
Yeah, I'd agree with Bully 2.
All right, there we go. Beautiful. Thanks for your help, everybody in the Backstage Pass. Hey, roguelikes. Like them or love them, they're here to stay. Spelunky 2 is out on Steam now, which is exciting. Have you continued to play that, Leo?
Yes, I was a little tepid on it, or at least, wary of a game stepping to my one true love, Spelunky 1.
Right.
But I've fallen in love with it since those initial play sessions. Like playing more in co-op in person, because online co-op is still, I think it's completely down now until they figure it out.
Oh, really?
But local co-op with friends has been life-changing. Friend of the show, Joe Buckles, being able to walk me through a little bit of the new stuff and show me like what makes it interesting and some of the fun new things you can do.
Yeah.
I am excited to play more of it at this point for sure.
Oh, that's perfect. Anna, what do you look for in a roguelite, whichever you prefer?
Well, I prefer roguelites.
Of course.
because I'm really bad at roguelites / likes. And so lights keep me going. But I sort of look for like at least like some sort of progression, some sort of ability to like improve on the character overall. And then, I mean, other than that, just like it is, I think the co-op is actually a huge thing as well.
Oh, interesting.
Like playing Risk of Rain 2 with friends is like infinitely more fun than playing by yourself. And so then that's been huge if like that's possible. And then honestly, what I look for, just like Hades, like
just exactly Hades.
Yeah. I think it is like such a stellar example of like how to do a roguelike. A roguelite. I don't know if we're defaulting to like or light here. It's a roguelite really, really well.
I think like is just more fun to say, and we've been saying it longer, and it sounds better, even though light is more appropriate for a lot of these. Yeah, I mean, I've been playing more Hades, and I just adore it. And like, you know, one of my favorite games from earlier this year was Undermine that I really loved. And I went back from Hades back to Undermine. And Undermine just felt like a slow, sloppy mess compared to like the tightest controls possible for Hades. When you get used to that dash, like not having that, it's like, oh, what am I doing anymore?
Yeah. And you really enjoyed Undermine. I remember you talking about enjoying that a lot.
Yeah, I do still like it a lot. It's just, it's tough to get out of the Hades groove once you're locked in there. Leo, have you tried that yet? I know you're skeptical.
Hades?
Yeah.
Yeah, I played it a bit at early access launch and a bit after real launch. It's a cool game for sure. I love the style of it, and I think it's very good at like not feeling punishing, because that's the main goal of a roguelite and a roguelike, is to feel like you're making progress every time, and to have a death feel like, oh, I've wasted my time, is, you know, it makes you never want to play it again. And Hades is really great at getting you back in that loop. The gameplay is not exactly my cup of tea, so I haven't been sticking with it, but it's a cool game.
Yeah, I mean, it is interesting. I almost am excited when I die. It's like, oh, now I'm curious what's changed in the main hall, like who I can talk to, what my boy Achilles is up to. Right. Like, there's enough of those little incentives. Jill, have you been playing Hades?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm such a nerd for the mythology. Oh. So that was going to be a absolute play for me anyway.
Yeah.
This is a great year for you then, because you get that and Phoenix Rising.
So good. And their interpretations are all really smart. And I'm like, oh, that's so cool that you've done different things like that. Yeah, and the gameplay, again, like everybody's saying, is really, really good and really tight. Because there are a couple of other rogue-like lights that I'm dabbling in this year. The one that just came out is Going Under, which is fantastic if anybody wants to play it. It is a sort of satirical... you're playing as an intern in this sort of semi Silicon Valley. Yeah. It's bright and it's colorful and it's fun. But yeah, the controls are not quite as Hades like. So when I'm like, I push dodge. Yeah. It's so good though. It's so funny, and I'm literally laughing at everything because I'm like, yeah, I know what that feels like.
So it's just Silicon Valley life. Yeah, it's so colorful and over the top. Going Under. I hadn't heard of this, but it might be a good contender for a great Goaty. Yeah.
I played that for the 20. Oh, this was technically this year, the one that got canceled for the Independent Games Festival, and I didn't realize they had settled on like a roguelite format, because I played like super early version of it. So that's really great. I ditto that. It's like, so it's such a freaking funny game. And it's like a little too relatable as like someone who's
exactly like having been an intern and having like I live in the Silicon Valley. I'm just like, oh, this hits so close to home. I'm not even sure I can laugh because it's so close.
Oh boy.
Nice.
Umami Unagi writes in, just to break open a community question early, like a present on Christmas Eve, everybody. They say, hey, gals and geezers, why do roguelikes seem like they're everywhere? It feels like one is released nearly every day. What makes them so appealing to develop for indie teams? Are they cheaper to make, easier to code, or do indie devs just love making them for some reason? Good question. I think it's got to be, people want their games to be played and replayed, and it's a compelling formula to keep folks playing. Like, imagine trying to create Hades as, you know, a more linear narrative experience. Like it'd be a lot of work to create an 8-hour experience, 10 hours. And in this case, it's like, oh no, now you can have people playing for 150 hours and still unlocking new things. There's just so much to do in that game.
Yeah. Well, and I had argued that roguelites are really relevant right now because like they're so good for like the social media generation. Like they hold your attention so well. The gameplay loop finishes like relatively fast. Like you can do a Hades run like in way less amount of time than it takes, you know, to like 40 minutes as compared to like, you know, 80 hours to beat like a linear timeline for an RPG. Like, there's way more, you know, as people's focus is shot because they're stuck inside and like they're scrolling on stuff all the time. Like it's really great for short attention span.
You're right. Yeah, it's that double whammy.
And just if you're busy too. Like if you're a busy person and you only have a certain amount of time, you can get through a loop and feel very satisfied and like you've done something and achieved something in a very short period of time.
Yeah, but then just keep coming back to it too to extend the playtime. So yeah, it's like coming at it at both ends in a really clever way. We had the community in the Discord, the MinnMax Discord. You get access to if you support us on Patreon at any tier. We had them rank their top 10 favorite roguelites/roguelikes of all time. Would you like to hear their official list? No
Very
debate
much so.
needed from us because this is as scientific as it can get.
Yeah.
Number 10, Enter the Gungeon. Excellent choice. Excellent choice. Number 9, Cadence of Hyrule.
Does that count?
I believe it does, because they also put number 8, Crypt of the Necrodancer, is making this count. Which, yeah, sure, I did not consider those, but yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Number 7, it's your boy, Leo, Rogue Legacy.
Right on.
Have you gone back to Rogue Legacy 2 at all this year?
I haven't gone back to it yet. I'm excited to have it there for when a patch comes out that I'm excited about. Because what was there when I was playing was so bare bones.
Right.
I'm excited to see them add more.
Yeah. Number 6, FTL. Classic. Number 5, fitting a theme, Into the Breach from a couple of years ago, the more tactics approach.
Oh, these next 4 better be good.
Leo?
That's an all-timer. I love Into the Breach.
Do you think this is better than Into the Breach? Coming in at number 4, Spelunky.
Yes, but these next 3 better be really good.
Real good, yeah. What are the top 3?
Do you think this is better than Spelunky? Number 3, Dead Cells.
Not in a million years.
No, I don't agree with that.
Hey, the community's voted. A hive mind of people can't be wrong.
True.
Number 2, Slay the Spire. Coming in at number 2. That's amazing. Yeah.
Okay.
Anna gave it a light okay. Number 1.
Well, sorry. I think I feel like there are a bunch of games left out on this list.
Of course.
I'm going to talk about that because I'm feeling like one of my favorite games is out here.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Well, number 1, according to the MinnMax community, and this might be a little bit biased, the number 1 roguelite of all time, Hades. Fresh and new and locked in.
Hades is so hot right now.
It's so good. Yeah.
All right, what have we missed, Jill?
Okay, Darkest Dungeon is not on this list, and I'm very upset.
Okay, all right, very noted.
MinnMax watchers. This is a great game. Yeah, it is. I mean, it's like general sense, it's procedurally.
That's
great.
True. It's definitely light.
It's
like a campaign, but with the procedurally generated missions. That's true.
It's got the permadeath. It's got, dungeon crawling is kind of in its DNA.
Yeah,
true.
All right.
I adore Darkest Dungeon.
Any other contenders we haven't factored in here?
I think Monster Train is a good roguelike that deserves to be on this list. That is a very fun game. Also, I don't know if this counts, but Minute is a great game.
That's interesting.
That's good.
Also, I feel like deserves to be on this list.
Yeah.
I don't know if it counts.
It's in a gray area.
Yeah, that's a tough one. It's like a puzzly thing where you just die a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a tough contender. Yeah, you're right. Well, there were 27 contenders that they were arguing about and actually ranking here. So I'm sure some of those were in the overflow category. But thanks everybody in the MinnMax community for ranking all those games. We appreciate it.
Hell yeah. And I want to say lately Star Renegade has been really good. And it certainly is a contender to be one of my all-time top 10, but it's a bit too early to say.
All-time top 10?
Of roguelikes.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, you did we did the Great Goatee Hunt. You can check that out. What is that game like, Leo?
Star Renegades, yeah, it's super stylized, like pixel art like I've never seen. Really gorgeous turn-based combat that is really fresh and fun. I don't always like turn-based combat, but the way you play the turn order and try to beat enemies to attacking to get critical hits off, guaranteed, very satisfying loop.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Leo, do you know how this whole thing operates?
Patreon.com/MinnMax shows vast array of patrons.
That's right! Patreon.com/MinnMax with 2 N's. Thanks to everybody that supports us. We really appreciate it. If you're listening to this, which you can, if you are at the $5 tier, you get early access to it. So the point is, if you're listening to this on the Wednesday that we recorded it, you can still jump in and support us at any tier to get your benefits throughout all of October. You can get on the Wall of Heroes. You can have us read a plug on every episode of the MinnMax Show for your project, your YouTube channel, whatever you like, your business, whatever you're interested in. There's a lot of different benefits at patreon.com/MinnMax2Ns. I'd argue some of the cheapest advertising around. We're happy to talk through that stuff with you. But thanks to Rook. Rook says, hello there, travelers of the digital soundscape. Join Bryan Keese, Travis McGaughey, Rob Hudak, and special guests on Draft Punks each Thursday as we draft everything from the MCU, Disney characters, Gen 2 Pokemon, to other topics like Wii games, breakfast cereal, Game Informer magazine covers, and birds. This week, we're joined by friend of the show, Ozzy Seshi, to draft 90s sci-fi films. It's such a fun, specific thing. What's top of that heap? Fifth Element? Anyways, follow along with our Twitter at RealDraftPunks, where you can also find the link to our Discord. Thanks as always to Greg Flaming Queso for the excellent intro track, Chris Drifter Lee for our bop of an outro track, and Alex the Hedgehog Brinigar for our fantastic graphic artwork represented on Jawarhello's Wall of Heroes Choice. Be happy, be healthy, play Hades, and most importantly, be kind to each other. Thanks so much, Rook, for supporting us and also sharing the word about Draft Punks. You're a great podcast, and then also about your fantastic Soulsborne streams. Also, thanks to the BAM Box. They say, hello, MinnMaxers. We are so thankful for the support you've shown us so far, and we're really excited about the box we've been able to get you next. Yes, the new Gamer Box has just gone on sale. It might just be the best yet. This month's franchises are Super Mario Bros., Portal 2, The Simpsons, Bart's Nightmare, and Dead by Daylight. Also, with Halloween coming, we decided to celebrate 30 years of The Simpsons Heroes of Horror by doing a Simpsons pin set crossover between Gamer Box, Geek Box, and Horror Box. It's our biggest crossover set in 5 years. On top of that, the autograph in this box is one of the most iconic characters ever in gaming, a true grail item for any collector. Can't wait for you to see what it is. Be sure to reserve your October Gamer Box at thebambox.com. Leo, one more time, that URL is
thebambox.com.
You got it! And then you can hit them up on Facebook or Twitter to become part of the BAM community. Thanks to the BAM Box for their support of MinnMax. We couldn't do it without big supporters like all of you, including I Am 8-Bit. And they want everybody to know that they have the Ori Collector's Edition available on Switch, Xbox One, PC. It is a beautiful display box. It transforms. It's got a glow-in-the-dark finish. It's got a majestic stained glass style art piece, flora and fauna of Ori field guide, a sketchbook zine featuring rarely seen production art, collectible art card set, hard enamel glow-in-the-dark pin, digital download cards for Ori and the Blind Forest, and Ori Will of the Wisps. It is packing everything in here. Physical editions of both games and exclusive reversible cover art. It's region-free, worldwide compatible. Check out this amazing Ori Collector's Edition from I Am 8-Bit. And everything under $100 in the I Am 8-Bit store, you can use a MinnMax promo code to get 10% off everything in there. So the promo code for this week, Leo, I want you to know this, and I want all of our listeners and viewers to know this. It's MinnMax County. MinnMax dash County.
That's MinnMax with 2 N's?
That's MinnMax with 2 N's and County with 1 N.
Okay.
Thank you to I Am 8-Bit for supporting MinnMax, and you can support MinnMax too by submitting a comment or question for us to read on the show. Make the show better. Every week we choose the question of the week, and I Am 8-Bit ships out an amazing prize from their online store, and this week they're shipping out you guessed it, Donut County vinyl soundtrack. This sweet double album of a very fun soundtrack to Donut County. So thank you to I Am 8-Bit, and you can check this out in their online store and use that promo code to get 10% off. All right, community questions. These people are very nice. They listen.
These people
in a good
They're
way.
so great.
They listen to the show, they watch the show, and they say, you know what? I'm going to support them at any tier so I can submit a question, potentially win a great prize from IM8-Bit, and I'm going to do my part, as they demand, to make the show better. Jordan Brown says, hello, MinnMaxers. I've been finding it difficult to play new games recently. Anytime I have to sit down for a long period of time, I just want to play games I've already beat over and over again. Recently, I bought Luigi's Mansion 3 and Vermintide 2 to play with friends, but I've just been replaying Final Fantasy 9 on my Switch instead, which I've beat numerous times. Nothing wrong with that. Have you ever had issues finding the motivation to play newer games? What game broke the trend, if you have?
I mean, I think that, you know, at the start of the pandemic, I had way less energy for new games. And like was even struggling to play games at all. But for me, like let's see here. So what broke it the most recent? So I just like default back to Pokemon. Like
Really?
Pokemon, like Ruby and Sapphire. Cause like, it's just something my brain can play on autopilot. And what broke it most recently, during that, what was I play? Usually if a friend asks me to play something with them. So I think actually, I'm trying to even remember what we were playing.
But I like the idea that you need like the social pressure to like bump you out
I
of
need
your
the
groove.
social pressure to play something new. Shoot, I don't even remember.
Yeah,
I
no,
wrote
it's
it
so
down
tough.
and now I'm like, wait.
No, there's so much, like, especially early in the year, I'll always just get stuck in a groove. Like, I'm just going to keep playing this old stuff. I know I should get back to Journey on a Savage Planet, which I feel like I've been halfway through since January. But there's those games where it's like, I'm not compelled to play anything new. I'm going to go back and play more Amplitude on PS4, you know?
And it's especially hard, too, when you have a lot of games that are things that I'm like, oh, I should play that.
Right.
Instead of things that are like, oh, I'm definitely excited to play them. And then you get caught up doing that and they kind of fall by the wayside, and then you feel more and more guilty that you haven't played them, but now there are more new things to play. And I'm like, no, I guess I'll just jump back and play something safe and comfortable.
Yeah, something
Definitely.
Yeah, cozy and comfortable. I totally get it.
Comfort games.
I recommend starting a stream called The Great Goaty Hunt where you have to play new games every Tuesday.
Yes.
And everybody
That's
out there,
helpful.
you're welcome to just call it The Great Goaty Hunt. We don't care, really. Have at it, world.
No. I was, a big Siege player, and I finally took a break from it last season because it was like in a very broken state. And so if you just play a living game that could have a patch that breaks everything, that's definitely helpful.
Yeah.
But now their new update has been really, really good, and I'm back into it.
Oh, there we
They
go.
fixed a lot of stuff.
How's it feel to get back into it?
It feels good. I needed the break for sure. It's like even winning or losing, I was just not feeling anything about it. But having the break, it's like I care about it again. And the new
good.
changes make it super, super fun.
Oh, nice. Joshua Caleb writes in, says, anyone else find it weird that we started this year by playing a chill, relaxing game about making friends with animals and building a nice island resort? Then we went to a game about scrambling over faceless strangers and deadly booby traps in order to get points so that we can look slightly goofier and different from everyone else, to now a game about lying, backstabbing, and gaslighting our friends in order to kill them in the cold vacuum of space. It's like gaming has been a roller coaster of emotions, just like the rest of the year. That is the journey that most gamers have gone on this year. That's a good point, Joshua Caleb. This is a weird year.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's cool that trend is like not necessarily in known quantities, right? Like all those three things were kind of surprising, the level of success they had.
Well, yeah, Animal Crossing maybe to a lesser extent.
The
but
level of success?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, that is true. Do you remember like before the game came out, like when the lockdown was starting and everyone's like, come on, Nintendo, release Animal Crossing a week early. We need this now. And it's like, now that just looks so silly in comparison. It's like, oh, we thought that was the worst of it. Like it has just been a never ending parade of that zone we were stuck in. And now there's like the Halloween update and all that stuff. I don't know if you've kept up with Anna, fellow member of the Deepest Dive on Animal Crossing New Horizons.
Yeah.
I haven't played, but
I'll probably hop in for the spooky stuff. I'm a little nervous about what my villagers will say to me, though. Like, the anxiety is real. The re-entry anxiety is real.
they're just going to call you sus right when you get in there.
I wonder too, because obviously the thread through all of those are like much more higher social games and
Interesting.
interacting with people. I wonder if that trend will continue once we can all be out and social again, or if this is a thing that's just set off a whole new trajectory for social games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's easy to say that, but at the same time, I'm sure everyone's going to be eager to jump into Cyberpunk when that comes out. And it's like, is that going to count in this trend? Or, yeah, I mean, that is a good question, though. I mean, just let's take Among Us on its own. If the quarantine did not exist, if the virus did not exist, would that game have blown up? I bet not.
I mean,
right?
it came out 2 years ago.
Right. It had its shot,
Yeah.
and nature chose it for extinction.
Yeah. Well, and like, it's not just people having more time to play the game and it having themes that are sort of, I'm working on a story on this specific question
Oh, really?
right now, actually. And like, sort of what I found is that like, since games exist as like part of social media now too, like Among Us, like it's just like people have more time to even be on TikTok. So it's like the most popular game on TikTok right now. Like it's surpassed Animal Crossing. So like it's not just like, oh, you know, people have more time to play games and this is interesting to like a wide appeal of people. It's like if you think about things like kind of holistically, like I don't know, like there's just like so much time for people to dedicate to it, and the stories are appealing. So
Yeah, I know.
Hey,
I don't want to turn you into the youth correspondent, Anna, and I know I've asked about
I
this
want
before.
to be the youth
All right,
correspondent.
youth correspondent Anna Diaz.
But
Can you
I don't
explain?
think-
Can you
I
explain
have
like?
gaps in knowledge too.
Well, that's fine. Can you explain what it means when you say a game is huge on TikTok? Is it just like
Yeah.
there's a piece of music from the game where people are dancing in their kitchen to it? What does it mean? I don't get it.
So there's a lot. There's like a lot, and this is why I was like, I like went to Maddie Myers. I'm like, I need to write about this. Just like, okay, so, like you see a bunch of different kind of like categories of content for Among Us. So like you have like the traditional like gameplay videos, like highlight reels, like oh this is like goofy gameplay, but then it like on TikTok and on these social media platforms, it goes much deeper than that. So like, for example, something that's really taken off with Among Us is like content creators who like aren't even like games adjacent, have started doing like live reenactments of scenes, and like in comedic ways. Another is like people have been making like music videos in Among Us. Folks have been like trying to like restage like movies and plays within the game. So like there's just like a lot
weird
of stuff. So like all of this taken together. Or another really, really interesting thing that's taken off is like people have started drawing like their favorite like TV show movie characters from different fandoms as Among Us characters. So
Okay.
like, and writing up scenarios for that. Yeah, there's been like,
strange.
it's wild. Like a giant fanfic community has like grown up.
But
like,
Should we have a
from Among
MinnMax
Us.
TikTok?
yeah.
It's a lot of work, right? It can be. I think TikTok's fun. I think actually, if you're actually interested in my take on this, I think there's a big gap in gaming news on TikTok. Like IGN is doing stuff, but like they do kind of like they don't do as much like headline-y stuff. And I was thinking about it and I was like, oh, like a lot of teenagers use TikTok as a source of information.
Mhm.
And I was like, if you did like a gaming news roundup, like honestly, like Kyle's show, if he did that on TikTok and condensed it into a minute, I think that would be really, really popular.
I'm into it. Oh, okay. I genuinely have never downloaded TikTok. Would I have to like? Oh God, I feel this is just the end of The Last Crusade. I feel myself aging and turning into a skeleton as I ask this. Would I have to like dance or put like music underneath it, or like what does it mean?
Okay, I think so. If you dance in a TikTok, Ben, I think that people on Twitter would love that. Because like it's not like it'd be kind of goofy and silly. You wouldn't have to dance. Like that's the thing is like you have all like I know this one TikToker. He's really famous because he literally just like does Breath of the Wild speedrun like tutorials, and like each little trick is done in like 30 seconds or less, and so he shows people in 30 seconds or less how to do something like specific. So like it definitely doesn't need to be like the you know.
Okay, so I don't need to understand that Pac-Man Ghost song or anything. I can just be like, "Hello TikTok, And just act like Walter Cronkite for gaming news. You're saying it would do well.
I mean, you'd want to make it. I mean, if you did it quick enough, and Walter Cronkite was bouncy enough, I think you could do it.
Okay, so I can be a Walter Cronkite VTuber on TikTok, and that's the path to success. Combining just a dash of Kyle's Gaming Ride Home podcast.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would love if we had that. I would love if we blew up on TikTok and became primarily a TikTok outlet.
Welcome to MinnMax, Patreon about games, friends, and TikTok.
That's really interesting.
Because it actually, part of me is like, oh, I'm stupid for not doing more, because I'll see kids who are like, wow, check out these unknown games, and they're fairly known indie games, but there are a lot of teenagers who are like, wow, Hades, this is a cool game.
Oh my God. Hey, have you ever checked out Resident Evil 4? It just blows up. It's what?
Because here's the thing is actually, I think something that I don't know if this is a conversation to have on mic, but I think it'd be interesting to our listeners, is that I think there's sort of an amnesia in pop culture.
Yes.
And TikTok is definitely an example of that, where you see these old songs where kids are like, wow, this song is so cool. I'm like, wait, that was that's just early 2000s Rihanna, you know? But for a younger audience, it's might be completely new to them. And so I think with games, there's going to be if you're forward thinking enough, you should provide content to those kids who want to feel like they're rediscovering something.
Right. We should. You know what, Anna? I will download TikTok because we just talked about on MinnFax. We had our community call-in episode, which is the last Sunday of every month for MinnFax, our Patreon exclusive podcast. That's all about a Q&A for $20 supporters. But this Sunday, we had Kyle on, and somebody called in. I'm sorry, I forget who it was. Just talking about Kyle's podcast that ended, the Gaming Ride Home news podcast, and where to get news from, and how we should start a daily news show. And it's I don't know the best format to do that. I don't know if it's an Instagram thing, just time alone. It's going to be tough to squeeze it in. But maybe that is the solution, is just some sort of TikTok content.
Rapid fire news shouting.
Right. Something like that. Yeah. Okay. Let's figure it out off mic. Figure it out off the mic.
Figure it off out the mic. Yeah. Outside of the
Nailed
mic.
It.
We need to do this outside of the mic, not inside of it. Okay.
Correct.
Yeah.
We got to take this inside.
Think outside the mic.
Inside mic noise voices. Nick L writes in. He says, "Hello, cohorts. With the news. Oh, take a turn for the series, Leo. Wipe that smile off your face." Nick L writes in with the news that CD Projekt Red is going back on its vow to avoid crunch. I would love to hear your individual thoughts about the situation and ethical consumption. For me personally, I've been pushed more and more towards not wanting to buy the game, not only because of the crunch, but also other reasons like the hyper stereotyping of people of color in the gangs of Night City. So just a backstory here. For quite a while now, CD Projekt Red has said that, hey, we know we have a problem with crunch. We've learned a lot throughout our life. We promise we will not be crunching on Cyberpunk 2077 to make it happen. We're delaying it a couple times to ensure that. And then they're like, hey, the head of CD Projekt Red sent a message, an email to all the developers being like, hey, we got a month to go. We're working 6 to 8 weeks here. I know we promised this would not happen, but we have no other option. And we're going to be paying everybody. You're getting bonuses for this. You're getting paid for that time. But I know I'm going back on that vow, but it just has to be this way. And so the industry is saying, we wish that it weren't. And I think everybody with the rest of the line is saying, it sucks. It shouldn't be that way.
We get that you weren't just doing it for fun.
Right. Okay. Yeah. What do y'all think about it? What do we do with the situation? What do you recommend for folks that are struggling with this morally? What do you do?
Well, for me, the thing that stands out is we have no other options. I'm you have a lot of other options, actually. I saw a lot of people say delay the game. I mean, that's always an option, but it sounds like that might be something going on behind the scenes where they couldn't. Maybe there's some sort of marketing stuff or whatever.
Yeah.
But even beyond that, I saw some very, very smart, clever people with some takes on you don't just have to that's not either delay it or crunch. You can hire new people. You know that this is going to take a certain amount of people to get done. It's going to I mean, the only reason that might not be an option is to break into your bottom line, and that's not a good reason to crunch people. You know, so you have a better sort of time management or cut some features.
Yeah,
You know?
it's so tough to figure out what they're doing right now, because they even mentioned, I think in that Bloomberg article, that, you know, the game's already been sent off to cert for Sony and Xbox, and so what they're working on now is just kind of like day one patch polish. You know, it's not a matter of even having features to cut, and then bringing some new developers on board. It'd probably take them a month before they're up to speed, and so
Right. But
not that I'm defending it, but
ahead of, but they should know ahead of time that they're gonna run into crunch and get those people so they can onboard them on time. And
yeah,
that should be something that people look into.
Yeah, well, and I think like, you know, okay, I'm about to spill some real tea here. There, you know, even if we operate under this like generic cliche, which is like there's no ethical consumption under capitalism, which like I pretty much believe in, right? Like, one, I don't like, I don't, whatever. I don't judge if people buy it, don't buy it. But like, here's the thing is like, at the end of the day, like, this is a failure of management at the studio. Yeah. And I think like on me as like a journalist or as like someone who wants to be informed consumer, like it is about thinking through like, what are like the managerial failures that like led to this situation? And like, it's, you know, it's closed doors. So it's like hard, you know, and it's like, okay, like how do we create like a healthier system for everyone? It's like, accountability, right? Like, and maybe that can come through like boycotting the product, but like how individual choices affect that, it's kind of like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's really tough. And a part of me, and this is probably not a good perspective to have, not healthy, but a part of me sees like, well, at least they're being paid for that overtime. Like, it's nice that the industry is in a spot where they've made that very clear, instead of just
where they don't have indentured servant.
Honestly, which is how it's been a majority of the video game industry's life, is just, it's assumed that everyone will just be crunching, and we understand you're going to be working so late, and yeah, you're not going to be paid more, but we're going to feed off your passion for this project because we know you want the game to be good too. So it's inching in the right direction, but yes, everybody can make their own call, and if they don't feel good about this and they don't want to play Cyberpunk because of that.
But it is funny that like games journalists are having this conversation, because like I think there are a lot of crunch issues in journalism and games, and like I see games journalism as like the sort of like nexus of like these two really problematic sort of like exploitative industries too. So it's like I think you're right? Like that inclination to be like, well, at least they're getting paid, but it's just like, wow, like our standards are so low, and I think that's partially because like the Game Informer internship is like not paid, and I couldn't do it because of that, you know? Right. And that's like the standard, you know, that's like kind of expected. And I don't know, like it is like a kind of like a toilet bowl of like workers being abused, and it's really sad.
Yeah. The internship isn't happening anymore at Game Informer, by the way, but yes, that was
sorry. But yeah, you know, I don't mean to like spill, you know, too much tea, but like I do think like we're all just like so used to like being exploited, you know?
Yeah. It's like, it's one of those things where it's like it's either unions or capitalism will run its natural course, which is to get the most profit out of the giving people the least.
And sorry, I probably shouldn't have pulled like games media into that, right?
No, I think that's fair. I think there is a lot of that happening. Yeah.
But and it's journalism too, because like I think about this from the perspective of like things that keep like people of color from like entering these spaces, and that's often that it just comes down to like material resources.
Yeah,
I mean the freelance space too is really, it can be really scary. You get a lot of places that are promising to pay you in views, and if you're young and you don't know what that means you're not getting paid. And like
they literally say that they just say we'll pay you in views.
Yeah, if you get a certain amount of views, you get X amount per view or per 1,000 views or whatever. Right. And there are a lot of people out there. When I first started in this kind of course, there are people out there who will tell you a lot of different things, and some people will say it is important, like, to get up the ladder. Ooh, excuse me. To get up the ladder, you do have to take some of those sometimes. And
Yeah,
that's
it's such a. I think that is a similarity between these different parts of the games industry. It's like it's seen as such a dream position that you should be willing to.
Yeah. Passion's like completely exploited, and like work isn't recognized as work. Like playing games isn't recognized as work. It's not counted. You know, like if you're a freelancer crunching to play a AAA game, like those hours spent aren't valued in the same way as like someone in an office, like quote unquote, like doing standard work.
Right.
I don't know. The issues run deep. But I love it.
Do you want to
place anyway?
And boycotting too is a kind of a hard thing. Like if you're trying to be ethical in what you're consuming and that sort of thing, because the people who are the victims of this, who are being crunched and in this cycle, they are making that game. They're proud of it. They want you to play it as well. So it's sort of a hard thing too to say, I'm going to make sure that the thing that you bled, sweat, and teared over is not going to be seen.
Yeah.
Well, let's keep descending into this rabbit hole, y'all. MacDac submits a question saying, "Hey, everybody! Hey, have you ever visited a studio that seemed to have a bad feel? A lot of talk recently has been about crunch and working conditions for developers, and I was curious if you ever saw the effects of this firsthand while visiting a game studio. You don't need to put a specific developer on blast. I'm just curious how much was hidden / exposed to the press."
There were multiple developers that were like, I would see them just bringing in like catered dinner and stuff.
Yeah.
And
very common.
Snacks, things like that of like, yeah, these people will be here tonight. So the least we can do is get them so that many places.
Yeah. I mean, that idea of, crunch or just working overtime is just a default. I visited, I think I totaled it up as like 80 studios, and it's just such a constant thing that you become numb to it. And obviously, when we would visit a studio, we'd be there for 1 to 2 days, and you're being escorted around and only being shown the top of the development pyramid. And so it's tough to be like, oh, I understand what each studio was like. You get through a keyhole glimpse at a lot of what these working conditions were like, but definitely just on a lighter level. I mean, especially talking about the past, it was always just a joke about like, oh boy, yeah, I slept under my desk for that year. Ha 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 ha. Like that is just constant jokes. Just, well, obviously we're all killing ourselves to make these games. And it helps that, the last couple of years, it seems like they have become aware of that, or at least to the point of every time you talk about it, PR will give a glare now and be like, don't bring it up around press.
And we hear about that about the early days of Game Informer too. It's like these same stories.
Yeah.
Sleeping under the desk.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
But it was interesting. I remember on the Assassin's Creed Odyssey trip being shown around the Ubisoft studio, and they pointed out like a loft bed, like a couple loft beds.
Yeah.
Like that's where people go to sleep when they need to.
Moving right along.
You can take naps, but it was interesting to just be shown that.
I like that. Isn't that cool? Look how comfy that pillow is when you have to sleep at work. Yeah. In terms of like bad feel outside of that, I think this year with a lot of revelations about the game industry and just different stories coming to light, just about, this is pretty shady. This dude sucked. You know those stories. It has me kind of like been going through a Rolodex in my mind of like, what are those just very obvious things that now are in a new light? And not to put a studio on blast, but there's one studio that I visited where it's like, oh yeah, that was a very inappropriate relationship happening within that studio. And it's like for like a big game. And I still keep thinking about it. Like, it's such a weird thing. I don't know if that would ever come to light, but I don't feel like it's my story to tell because I don't have all the details. But it was like one of those keyhole glimpses of just like, ugh, this sucks. So there's lots of little stuff like that. Christian Garcia keeps us descending down this dark rabbit hole by asking, so when can I start sending pictures of my ears to Sony? Great question, Christian.
What? I actually don't know what this is referring to.
This is referring to
Mark Cerny, right?
Mark Cerny's GDC presentation of like the tech stuff for the PS5 when everyone was hot and heavy, ready to learn about the PlayStation 5, and then Mark Cerny just went on the most technical, took the most technical route with this presentation and saying that in order to get the best 3D mapping of audio, Sony might want a picture of your ears so they can map the 3D audio. And so apparently like PlayStation's Twitter feed was just awash and people sending pictures of their dirty ears.
They put up an OnlyFans for it, actually.
Yeah, it's really hot. Yeah, check it out.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, so I guess the answer to your question, Christian, is it never has stopped. I've sent a picture of my ears of Sony every day. Sean Mason, I wonder if they still are getting any. Because
They have to.
God, I hope Mark Cerny can talk more about that at some point. Sean Mason writes in, with Halloween just over a month away, I started to reminisce on some of my childhood costumes. Looking back, I noticed many of them were video game themed. A few characters I dressed up as were Luigi. My best friend went as Mario. Link and Ratchet. Were any of your Halloween costumes inspired by video games? If so, what were they?
Pikachu. I've been Pikachu every year since I was 5 years old.
What? Every year?
Yes, that is the commitment.
That's insane.
Maybe, okay, here's I don't know if we should make this an unlockable, but I will just offer it up freely. I can wear my Pikachu costume for a stream on sometime around Halloween.
We can have the Halloween episode. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you just have like one Pikachu costume that's just like raggedy from when you're 6. Grown. I see.
I had one from like age 5 to like 7-ish, and then 7-ish to like, every couple of years or so, like my mom would be like, I think it's time for a new Pikachu costume.
Yeah. And I mean this with all the respect I can muster on it, but you should be hospitalized. I can't imagine. It's so funny to me. I love, for people watching the video version, you have 2 Pikachus behind you. I love just like leaning into not just Pokemon, but like the most obvious Pokemon. I don't know. It's like, I love Ghostbusters, but I love Slimer, and I just can't get enough of Slimer. It feels like just like such a weird choice to lean into the number one obvious thing so hard.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely brain damaged, but like in a good way. Like in a way that makes me very happy.
When you hit like 21 or something, you think you would have gone for like Raichu, or just like add a little pizzazz to it.
Well, I like a lot of Pokemon, like but like Pikachu's great.
Look, no doubt, what? Pikachu's a cool dude. But like,
how many different costumes have you bought? Like, how many could you reuse?
I don't know. I would have to talk to my mom about that. There was a period of time where it was really hard to find Pikachu costumes because like Pokemon went through that lull. Like, I feel like around Ruby Sapphire times, I guess.
Right.
As far as like merch and like products go. But I probably had like at least like 5 or something. And then I did go a while where like I didn't really do Halloween stuff. But then like my ex-boyfriend bought me Pikachu.
Of course. So, you get pulled back in. I don't think I've ever gone as a video game character. I'm really trying to think. It's usually just like generic robot, Slender Man type stuff, but I don't think so. Has anybody else?
I mean, I do nerdy stuff all the time.
Yeah.
But the thing that I really like that I've definitely been noticing more is that there are intentional video game character Halloween costumes. Like when I was a kid, that was not really a thing. And then one of my first articles for Game Informer was the roundup of Halloween video game costumes.
Okay.
And it's the quality of these costumes, and then also as on a personal level, the quality of costumes for women was fantastic. It wasn't just like
sexy Toad,
sexy Peach or something. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So they're out there.
They are out there.
And be your character.
And I will say a lot in my defense. I've done multiple costumes, a lot of Halloweens.
Oh,
so like
different
for like
parties?
one party I'll do Pikachu, but then for Halloween I'll do like
Detective Pikachu.
Then Fat Pikachu. Yeah, you got a lot of faces to go.
Surfing.
Yeah.
Flying Pikachu.
Hang 10 coming in. Jeremy Clark writes in, hey friends, my wife and I have candles going in our game room. Cool. And because my sense of smell is so strong, I often relate smells to memories. Because of this, I now have certain candle scents that we have renamed to the games I was playing while burning that scent. For instance, Cinnamon Pumpkin is SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom. So my question is, do you associate any smells and or other senses with nostalgic games or memories? Boy, big question. Yeah, because like, what is the in the brain? Like the smell part is next to the memory part, is what I heard a long time ago. I remember that because I smelled it. I don't know.
We got a neuroscientist in here.
Yeah, that's right.
I am one of those people that like my sense of smell is really like, I don't know if it's really good or just really connected. So I really do connect things like that. So Skyrim for me is pine trees because I was in college at the time when it came out, and I was going to school in a pine tree forest, essentially.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
Like the one from Devs? That was a deep cut. Never mind. Where was the... What do you mean pine tree forest?
Yeah, it was the mountains of Santa Cruz.
Oh, that's awesome.
So you just have this beautiful, beautiful smell of pine trees, which goes with Skyrim, of course. It's perfect.
Yeah, that is perfect.
And then one year I was playing, I can't remember which Hitman game it was, but it coincided with a gift of a like 5-pound gummy bear. So I would like have a gummy bear chunk in one hand and be killing people in the other. So Hitman to me smells like gummy.
How do you eat a 5-pound gummy bear? Do you get it at it like with a spoon, or do you like fork and knife it like a fine steak?
Face
it
first.
It looks like a horror show. I chop it up like with a knife.
Oh God. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of these things. I even think back to like the old MinnMax studio, like right when it launched. You know, we had an apple cinnamon candle burning forever, and so I associate that with like playing Outer Worlds and stuff for like kind of that early era, but. I'm sure there's a million of these going back in history. I guess every game is just connected to like a dank, dusty basement that I grew up in at my parents' old place.
Yeah, I did a lot of gaming at friends' houses, one of whom's dad was a big smoker, so cigarette smoke like condemned criminal origin.
That's perfect.
That's amazing.
Hey, if there are any smart people in the chat, let me know what this was. Like 5 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, something like that. I had a cold and like a runny nose for like 3.5 weeks, 4 weeks, something like that. And ever since then, my sense of smell has been like 50% what it was. If anybody can let me know if there's a way to repair my sense of smell, I'm very interested because I miss it.
COVID?
I think I had COVID in 2015.
It's the opposite.
I was patient
COVID.
0.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Thank you. Michael Lynch writes in, hey, everybody. I've never played a second of EVE Online, but I read any article I find about it, and I love the player's dedication to it. Is there a game you've similarly never played but have admiration for how unique it is?
Certainly Dwarf Fortress.
Oh, yes.
That's a good one.
Leo, that's such a great call. Like I was talking to some younger fella a while ago, and just talking about what games he's into, and he's like, "Oh, of course, Dwarf Fortress." And immediately I was like, "All right, hold the phone." Now I'm very interested because I don't even know what this game looks like, but the stories generator is so cool.
Having watched gameplay of it, I don't know what it looks like. No less chaos to look at. I feel like I wish I was the type of gamer who could get into and learn and understand Dwarf Fortress in its current state, which is so much just like symbols that represent things. But I need a little more, I guess, visually. It's a little too far on the pure story generator. And I need a little further back on the spectrum than that, I guess.
Yeah, I wonder if like a good middle ground. God, what was... Oh. All right, help me out, Leo. What was that game that was systems heavy? No, it came out of early access last year. People on Steam...
RimWorld.
Yes! Oh my God!
Wow.
Do you feel like RimWorld is that like slightly more approachable Dwarf Fortress thing?
Yeah, that's a great game. I recognize it because that is like one of the few I've seen is like the genre of our game is story generator.
Yes, which is so fun. That's a great poll.
It's a cool game.
Raymond Schaefer.
There was that game a few weeks ago. It was like King Crusader 3 or
Crusader Kings 3.
Kings 3. That's definitely one where I'm like, I am never going to be able to play that, but I love that people are somehow eating the Pope. So.
Eating the Pope?
That's how I felt too, but the other day I did a stream where I had friends who knew what was going on and they walked me through some things, and I am so glad I did because that game is incredible.
Oh, really? Are you playing it now, Leo?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
It was very RP heavy stream where I was like, these people are going to war with me and I have no interest in that. So I just surrender and I focused on building my relationship with my wife and falling back in love with her, you know?
That's so
so we can eat the
and
Pope
then I got
together.
obsessed with the Pope, so I trained my son to be a monk and sent him to go train under the Pope. And then I tried to wage war on a city next to Italy so that I could live there, so that I could be closer to the Pope. But I ended up waging war on the whole Roman Catholic Empire. So, it was the whole thing. The best story, if we can go on a total tangent, because
Absolutely.
I do love stories from Crusader Kings 3.
Yeah.
The best story was, there was this woman named Saoirse who was a known fornicator, which was against the religion of my kingdom. So it said I could imprison her without being viewed as a tyrant. But I didn't have a good chance of doing it without her getting away, so I didn't do it. And then eventually, another leader I knew, it popped up that they were caught adultering out of their marriage with Saoirse, the known fornicator. So I threw Saoirse in jail, and a few months later, he sends me a letter, and he's like, hey, can you please let Saoirse out of jail? She's important to me. And I said, no, sorry, known fornicator. And then like 5 months later, I get another letter, and he's like, okay, well, can you please let this person out of jail because they're important to me? And it's a 0-year-old baby. And it takes me a second to be like, oh my God, she was pregnant and had their baby in jail.
Oh my
Just
God.
had a baby in jail for almost a year. So horrible.
Oh,
That game is awesome.
Oh, good.
crazy stuff happens to Crusader Kings, baby.
I'm so happy that, both you and Anna have played that game so we can talk about it for like the Game of the Year discussions. It seems like an important one. Thank God you guys are smart. Victor Pham writes in and says, what game genres still feel underserved in the current gaming landscape? For me, it's stylish action games like DMC5. We maybe get 1 or 2 a year, but we hardly see any games of that nature, especially in the indie space. Yeah, I love this question. It's like those big, obvious genres that just aren't being catered to. And I would have said like monster collecting, just with the success of Pokemon versus the amount of clones. Ooh. But then this year they have like Temtem, Monster Crown, which we talked about on the podcast. It feels like there's been a number of... Ooblets, yeah. But I just realized it's The Sims. There's no Sims clone. There's no City Skylines to The Sims. And it is insane with how well that series has sold. And also, like, I think Sims 4 is in a good place now, but over the last 5 years, it's had a rocky bump. And it seems like it was tailor-made for an indie studio to be like, whoop, we're the cool Sims now. And it just didn't happen. I've never even seen a Sims clone. Have you?
That's interesting. RimWorld is not far off.
I guess that's an interesting point. Yeah, maybe. But then very selfishly, I want more competitive puzzle games because it has been the genre of choice for me this summer. I've gotten so into it, and there's not really that many new ones. Chris Logan writes in and says, hey, been in the horts. Yes, hello. Streaming is the new normal for TV shows, that's clear. But what is still up in the air is how episodes are released, either all at once or once a week. Personally, I prefer weekly, as this makes it easier to discuss with friends and the internet at large, but the moderate backlash to the new season of The Boys leads me to believe that I may be in the minority. What is the official MinnMax stance on episode release window structure?
Weekly.
Weekly.
I like weekly too.
Weekly.
You get
I
to
have no
savor it.
self-control.
Yeah, when you binge stuff, it's all a blur. It's fun to be able to soak in that stuff every single week and talk about it and anticipate things. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Theories?
And if you're
Remember theories?
No.
Remember those?
Exactly.
Looking
It's
forward.
better for journalists too.
That is a good point. That's a good point. Yeah, we can do more
lot
Max
more
spoilers for Mandalorian, which Ross, Star Wars Guy Fun, seems excited about doing Max spoilers for season 2 of Mandalorian, so it should be fun to jump back on that one. Cade Mead writes in, OG Farmville has been shut down. I'm sorry, everybody. Flash games are officially unsupported at the end of the year. Have any of you loved a game that has gone defunct? Will we ever see a change in the law to allow for larger scale preservation of media, or is it just a necessary reality of ownership copyright? That'd be interesting if there was a law that you have to preserve all media. Yeah, in terms of this, like stuff that goes defunct, I really missed the first wave of iPod Nano games. Like, Peggle was on there, which is great, but then there was Phase from Harmonix, which was kind of in that amplitude frequency vein. That was a really cool game that just is not existing anymore. And I feel like if I stopped people on the street and tried to bring up Phase from Harmonix, no one would know what I was talking about. It just does not exist.
Isn't there an issue right now with like Flash games are going away because like Flash is not being supported?
Yeah, so that's what Cade Mead said. Yeah, end of the year, Flash games are going offline.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy.
So it's just all of those.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was talking to Kelsey Lewin, a friend of the show, because I was like, what's your take on this? Like, do you think, like people are doing a good job of preserving these. And she said that people are generally doing a good job. And that's why like a lot of people are focused on preserving the games themselves. And that's why Video Game History Foundation does like the materials around games. Cause like they're not like technically in games preservation. So I hope it seems like there are enough people who care that we won't completely lose a lot of these really important artifacts, I guess.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Club Penguin.
Oh.
It was just bought by Disney and run into the ground and then remade by fans, like carbon copy, and then it got shut down because, Disney owns the IP.
I bet I would put money if I was a gambling man, and I'll become one after this podcast airs, that the next 7 years, Disney will start a show called Club Penguin. It's a great name for some stupid Disney XD show, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that seems like the right way to leverage that hot penguin IP.
Yeah. No, I think there's enough there. And actually, I should have put that on the list of things to be desired. Club Penguin reboot. But that's more like I want something. It's not really something to re-release. It's something I just want back. But I'm going to miss a lot of like the Flash MMOs.
Yeah. Yeah.
For me, Maple Story 2.
They took it down?
Really, it's gone. It's
What? It just was released.
Still around.
Wow.
Yeah, devastated by that one. I wish I could still just hop in single player and just like run around and feel it. I feel those feelings. I still have some clips for it. And there was one where it's like we're playing this mashup of, because you can play music in the game off of MIDI charts that you can put in. And I was playing Coldplay's Clocks while my friend was on the like saxophone, while my friend was playing yakety sax on his the piano, and it was a little mashup, and we played it for a minute, and it was horrible. And then we stopped, and we ended, and it said musician leveled up, performer leveled up. We leveled up my main character account and got to like pick new perk points from playing Coldplay Clocks on the street. That game was like nothing else, and I miss it dearly.
So sad. I love there's got to be a fun list of games where the originals have outlived the sequels. Like, is EverQuest 2 still online? I doubt it, but EverQuest 1 is, right? Let's see.
EverQuest 1 is for sure.
Is there am I making this up? Is there an EverQuest 3D?
3D? Well, there was like that weird EverQuest Next and all that stuff. But let's see. The EverQuest 2 official site.
Oh, I know.
I think this is still up and running. It's screaming at us to play for free. That's amazing. All right. What do you think is the last tweet that the EverQuest 2 account sent?
I don't need to guess because I'm looking it up right now.
Okay, well, before Anna reads it, the last tweet is September 28th, 2 days ago, saying all EverQuest 2 servers will be brought offline on Tuesday, September 29th, 2020.
Sad.
But hang on, I guess it's just for a 2-hour window. Okay, so it is still up and running.
You really buried the lead.
I know, that would have been awesome if it was exactly the thing shutting down. Okay, Jonathan Den has a question for you, Jill. Have you heard or seen the trailer for Black Myth Wukong? I don't remember if this was discussed on the show beforehand. Anyways, it was a game that was revealed this late August with a surprise trailer drop. It is far from release, but my question is this. By the way, it seems like it's based on like Odyssey to the West, Journey to the West.
Journey to the West.
Journey to the West. The Chinese myth that was also the basis for Enslaved and Dragon Ball, all that fun stuff. With the success, everything fun. Dragon Ball and Enslaved. With the success of Ghost of Tsushima and the positive reception the game has gotten from the internet, could we see a resurgence of AAA games using non-Western mythology/cultures as backdrops? I would love more games like Jade Empire and Ghost of Tsushima being made. Good question.
Assassin's Creed Odyssey?
But that's kind of a Western mythology, I think, is their idea here. They're talking about more Eastern stuff.
I don't know what that means.
East versus West. You know what that weird cardinal direction delineation that makes no sense? Well, it's just like, it's always confusing. It's like, wait, Japan's to the west, but I guess it's the far east because it was Europe. It's all wacky.
It's all construct. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, exactly. There's no West in space. Jill, what do you think about this?
As a history nerd, I'm really happy that games are treading in that arena. I don't know if Eastern mythology is like particularly getting that much of a bump. I think it's always sort of been there.
Yeah.
I think history and mythology in general is getting a bump, and therefore we're seeing more of these, because Journey to the West has been like done and redone and done in a lot of different media.
Yeah.
I think Black Myth, the trailer came out and it was such a big, out of nowhere, we have no idea who these indie developers are, this looks absolutely amazing sort of situation, that it got a lot of press and a lot of eyes on it that normally wouldn't probably have seen it.
Right. Yeah, there was just a Journey to the West movie recently, wasn't there? No, 2014. It was a Stephen Chow movie, though. Okay, that's what I'm thinking of. The Shaolin soccer guy.
Like in my head, I remember there was a game called Unruly Heroes, who I talked to the developers of. It was a Nindy.
Little Nindy.
That was also Little Nindy. That was also Journey to the West. So there's a lot from that.
Yeah. I really love the RTS Age Mythology. I probably talk about it way too much. It's one of my favorite games of all time. And so that game was Egypt, Greece, and Scandinavian mythology. And those are your three starters. Then they were making an expansion. The Rise of the Titans expansion. It's like, oh my God, they're going to add a new mythology. And your mind was reeling about what this mythology could be. Like, oh my God, imagine them like tackling like, Sioux mythology. It would be so cool. There's so many options. And they added the Atlanteans. Like, they just created a new people and created a made-up mythology. Like, this sucks. Like, when you have the whole world to choose from, you just make one up, which is just repurposing some of the Greek gods. It was a mess. I'm still angry about it. Sean Burke writes in and says, Jurassic Park! Let's assume, for a second, this becomes a reality. Knowing how every one of the movies ends up points to it being a bad idea, would you still want to go to Jurassic Park? Do you think it would be super popular, even with the chance of catastrophic results?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay.
Absolutely.
Would it be popular? Yes. Would I
want to go?
No way.
You wouldn't?
Yeah, I'd probably not.
I think we trust ourselves to roller coasters and stuff. Yes, everybody would make Jurassic Park jokes, but this place, if they literally even called it Jurassic Park, I think it would be like locked the F down just to avoid lawyers like De Niro. They'd have like the T-Rex.
You're acting like Disney won't own it.
I guess, yeah, Disney would own it, yeah. So I think it'd be safe. I think they'd have the T-Rex like sedated and like
that's what
held
they say
down.
Every movie.
Yeah, that's a movie. I think in real life they could totally contain it. They're so stupid. Like in Lost World, like we're gonna make an arena and put the T-Rex in the middle of it. What can go wrong? It's like, what are you idiots doing?
Yeah.
So you would go too, Leo?
I don't know if I'd go, but I wouldn't be worried about safety. I don't think necessarily those movies are exactly what would happen.
Right.
What would be the state to host it? Which state has like the most Jurassic Park energy? I feel like
Hawaii. I guess that's where it's filmed. I mean, what is it in Lost World? Oh my God.
North Florida.
It would be very funny to be in Florida.
Yeah.
But I guess Disney World is there, so that's not that creative.
Yeah. I could see it being Florida. Or like, it'd be cool if it was like, just put it in Wyoming or something. I went on vacation and visited the Badlands and Black Hills in South Dakota. And they have like, at Custer State Park, they have a thing called Wildlife Loop, where you're just like, all right, here's a big road and there's a bunch of crazy animals in there. See if you can find it. And it was like the most Jurassic experience I've had in a long time. It was so much fun because you're just driving in your car, like looking, knowing that there's just a crap ton of buffalo somewhere. There's going to be goats everywhere. They promised that bears would, jump on top of your car. Like the way that they hyped it up made it seem so exciting. And then it was like, okay, well, did they in fact have dinosaurs in this dinosaur park? Because you're like squinting to kind of see a buffalo on the horizon. But then eventually there were like 17 on the road. So it was cool.
Ben.
Yes.
Okay. If you liked that, you should go to Florida and you should go, like they have this thing called like Wild Country Safari.
Ooh.
And like you drive through and like all the zoo animals are just walking around and you just like drive through. And
really?
I used to go to this as a kid because I grew up in South Florida. And like didn't think twice about it. I thought it was completely normal.
Like what's the weirdest animal?
Florida, just classic Florida.
What's like the weirdest animal that can be right up to your car?
Like, I don't know, like zebras would come up to your car.
That's cool.
Which are a little tamer. but they would have like wild cats out. Yeah. So.
That's awesome. I love that. All right, I'll go to Florida if you insist. Are they open right now?
I bet it's Florida. Of course they're open.
I'm coming down. Matt Sayer has an interesting question saying, with Xbox emphasizing backwards compatibility going into next gen and the preponderance of remakes and remasters we've had in recent years, do you see there being more discourse around older games rather than just the latest and greatest titles?
I could see it happening if one pops up on Game Pass and enters the consciousness that way.
Right. Or even if they just, if they
it.
continue to add stuff, like I think they've stopped making these announcements, or at least it's not headlines anymore, but just the idea of like, oh, now this game is backwards compatible. Come play Crimson Skies, everybody. Like those types of fun flashpoints. Everybody can jump back to this game. But I guess Game Pass is the new version of that.
I think so.
Yeah. I hope there is, especially if you're buying that Xbox. I mean, I hear that it spans thousands of games across 4 generations. It's the place to play, everybody.
It's always felt like movies get to live longer than games do, even though games can take so many more people and so many more hours in a lot of cases to make. So I'd love to see some way that we kind of continue to celebrate games that have passed.
Yeah, absolutely. Cree McGee writes in and says, "What's up, CLCs? I can tell by your appreciation of Honeycomb Havoc the other week that you all are terrible game music aficionados. So let's put that to the test. Below, I have linked some game music that seems impossibly bad. Make your best guess as to which game the song is from and rate it from 1 to 10. All right, let's see how this goes.
Are we buzzing in with our names?
Agree. Let's just try and guess. Okay, so let's see if we can feel this song together. I knew this one. This is so good. This is the battle theme to a game on the 360. This is the singer from Deep Purple. Any guess what this is from?
And the organist.
Any guesses?
No.
Come on, you guys. It's Blue Dragon.
Yeah,
it's the most Blue Dragon song imaginable. I love that. Okay, this one, I have never heard this crap.
Oh, wait, I know it.
This is not an old game. I mean, 2006.
This isn't a character speaking.
This is gonna drive me crazy.
More than the music is?
Yeah. Because it's so distinct. Like,
it's insane. I've never heard this.
What is it?
This is Twilight Battle from Twilight Princess.
Yes.
Oh my god. All right.
The music in Breath of the Wild is bad.
All right, this is a stage theme on the NES. Oh my god. Oh, it sounds like a Go Team song. Feels like I'm in a stadium. This is unbelievable. That is 1942, the NES stage theme. Oh, I love this. This is an ad for Stadia. That doesn't count. But okay, this next one is a GameCube game. This fits.
Damn, who's gonna freestyle over this?
Take it away, Jill!
Oh, if only JP were here.
Oh, that's true.
Oh,
yeah, former intern. He was
damn.
great. This is the pause music for Wario World.
I was gonna say Wario.
Oh, you should have, man. All
I
right.
still would have been wrong.
This is a Genesis game, so you know it's going to have great music. This is fine.
Yeah, this is dirty. You know?
Any guesses to the even the franchise? You can guess.
Sonic.
Good job. Sonic Spinball menu music, apparently. Nice. All right, this is a classic.
Wanna take you for a ride.
Oh, yeah.
Wanna take you for a ride.
Wait!
Wanna take you for a
Isn't that supposed to be
ride.
bad music?
What's that?
Isn't it supposed to be bad music? I think we lost the thread here.
Yeah, this is too good.
Crazy Taxi?
For a ride.
Do you know what that's from, Leo?
Is it Crazy Taxi?
No, that is Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
Oh, shoot. That's good.
All right, do you want an older one or a newer one for the last one?
Crazy Taxi would have been on the nose, I guess. Older.
All right, this is an NES game. Hasn't aged a day, has it?
You actually started playing the latest Cardi single. Hanson.
It sounds
Sounding
like
fresh.
if you're
I
like,
used to work. I used to work in a tech museum where little kids could make sounds
Oh,
synthetically,
no.
and that's what that sounds like. Is a 505-year-olds poking.
it actually is. Yeah, it's labeled that on YouTube. 505-year-olds from Jill's past trying to recreate the Simpsons theme. I guess no, this is The Adventures of Red Gravity, the title theme. Okay, the last one here. I'm very curious about. This is a 3DS game. Oh my god. All right, Anna, this seems in your wheelhouse. Any idea? This feels like an Anna game.
Yeah, it sounds like an Anna game.
This is inside your head as you're strapping on your Pikachu costume every Halloween. Oh, wait. Oh, Ooh, okay. If you got bongos, who do you got?
Yeah, bongos.
Classic video game riddle.
I think of Donkey Kong with bongos, but there's no
Ooh, you're right.
3DS.
That is tricky. This is Yoshi's New Island, apparently.
Oh.
Very good stuff. Thank you, Cream Agree, for sending all those fun tracks. All right. Favorite question of the week. What do y'all like? What made the show better? There's not even a question here, but I think the most helpful question that was submitted, if you want to call it that, was Joshua Caleb, just talking about the weird year that we've had going from Animal Crossing to Fall Guys to, because that led to all the TikTok stuff. Like, it was the greatest generation, or the greatest conversation generator of the batch. Jill, how you feeling as our guest of honor?
Yeah, I like that one. That was good.
Great. There we go, Joshua Caleb. Thank you so much for submitting a comment on patreon.com/roomnext2ends, and I8bit will ship out the Donut County soundtrack. And now it's time for something called Get a Load of This. Leo, floor us, dude.
Okay. I may have forgotten a little bit until it was a little too late to get a good one.
Yep.
I do have one.
Please.
And you just wait.
Do you want me to play the
Until
Yoshi's
I
New Island music
pull it up.
until we can pull it up here?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Let's just go back to the old gym. You let us know when you're ready, Leo.
I'm ready. It's going to be worth the wait.
Okay. These bongos are ready too, boy. All right, take it away, Leo.
What I have today is a little video I want to boost. It's only got 1,000 views, so I want to make sure we get it up there. But it's called Mom Hits Dad in the Nuts. And it's a video from the first-person perspective of the dad. It's the mom and their adorable child and their dog in the yard. The wiffle ball is on a tee, and it is struck by the mom, and it is like 3D getting hit in the groin yourself.
Uh-huh.
It is really visceral video to watch. So if you're curious what it would be like to get hit in the nuts, I'd say give this video a click.
Yeah, the link's below. That's really great. Leo, I don't want to say you're obsessed with something, but you seem obsessed with getting hit in the nuts. Like maybe I just listened
It's
to...
called the personal brand, Anson.
I see. Like I think it was on your MinnMax. You're talking about how you used to punch yourself in the nards to get a reaction from people when you were young.
Yeah, when I was very, very young. Yeah, I think there was a good few years off, and then I really had a big resurgence, and it's been very exciting for fans.
Did you always like that Simpsons joke where the football hits the guy in the groin at the film festival?
Absolute classic.
All right. Hey, all right. Well, hey, we're getting a load of that. Great choice, Leo. Jill, do you have one for us?
I do. Get a load of this. I am a huge fan of this weird thing called Blaseball.
Blaseball.
Baseball's
Thank
great.
you.
Yeah.
Every time I say that, I'm
we
in
really-
like 50-50.
I'm surprised that we actually haven't talked about Blaseball and MinnMax.
Blaseball's so good.
Yeah.
We're going to. So I just saw that the game right now is on Siesta, so I've been kind of missing it. But I saw that one of the creators did an interview with NPR. And I
That's
just thought
amazing.
that was the most bizarre thing to see. So it was a good interview and everything. It was just that moment of realizing. So Blaseball,
Yeah.
for Hanson, who seems
Please.
very confused.
So confused.
Oh, Hanson,
hard.
we gotta get a MinnMax Blaseball league. Come
Yes,
on.
Blaseball? Sounds
it's baseball
familiar.
with an L. Blaseball.
Oh, then no,
It's
I don't know.
essentially, to me, it's a D&D, internet-wide D&D game gone off the rails completely in the structure of baseball.
What?
Does that sound about right? It's an
Yeah,
absurdist
it's
kind of thing.
So
where
it's just
the-
like you can start talking baseball, but then it's like, but then the fairy
No,
drank all the lemonade
I mean,
or whatever
it's
D&D is
like-
about.
no, it's like it's a browser game. So you just open a web browser, sign up, and pick your team and go. It's centered around watching your team and betting on teams winning and all of that. So it's sort of a fantasy league thing. But the
Huh.
real meat of what's happening is like in the background. There's like lore happening. There are gods that have given the earth Blaseball. There are rifts opening up in the planar shifts happening.
That's fun.
Your players get incinerated on a regular basis. Like there's a peanut god who's very upset with people.
Mhm.
You have to idolize certain people. Like there's just a lot going on, and every
Yeah.
single season is a week. Every single day on the hour, every hour is a game going, and there's just something happening. And every single end of the season, there's an election where the gods bless your team with different decrees and different blessings.
So this
and
is the mythology you'd
wild.
like more games to tackle is the Blaseball mythology?
It's so good.
That seems-
Please check it out if
Yeah,
you are at
it's
all.
like a-
if
Fandom run baseball simulator.
Yeah.
And it is very well done because the fans are very organized.
I
yeah.
love that.
I mean, last season I think they committed foul necromancy to get one of their prized players back, and the gods have attacked back. You're never quite sure what the next season's going to look like because they
Yeah.
add on these new things, and
That's
Yeah.
super
it gets
fun.
more and more wild as you go on.
I
And
love
if
it.
you're not a sports fan, check this out, because I'm definitely not a sports person.
Right.
That's not what this game is.
Huh.
That is just the like outer shell that everything kind of fits inside.
Right. That is wild. Hey, get a load of this. Xbox uploaded this video that they framed as a podcast where it's Todd Howard talking to Phil Spencer and just talking about the Bethesda acquisition. They uploaded it last week. But in it, Todd Howard is talking about bringing Morrowind to Xbox, and he just drops this little factoid that was so bizarre where he's like, I remember this. I don't know. Should I do a Todd Howard impersonation? I don't think I should.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, you can do it.
No, it was, he said he remembers this old trick for Morrowind on the original Xbox where during load screens, and Morrowind certainly had some of those, they would actually reboot the original Xbox and it was imperceptible to the players. But apparently there was a way to completely restart and reboot the original Xbox and just you would not know it was happening technically during load screens. And so I was so fascinated by how this is possible. I messaged Dan Teasdale, friend of the show, who's a programmer for the original Destroy All Humans, just asking like, how is this possible? And he said, oh yeah, you could do lots of fun stuff with the video output on the original Xbox. One related thing was that you could tell the console to not clear the screen after the Xbox logo shows up, so you could do your own intro sequence that appears to happen over the boot sequence. He says there's a bunch of ways that could have been done with Morrowind, and it's been a long time, but there's ways you could boot a new game from an old game without the console presenting any signs it was doing so, kind of similar to how games with separate multiplayer and single player do the same thing today.
That's cool.
Weird technical tidbit. Anna, what do you got?
So I don't know if I'm just like late on the trend here.
Impossible.
But I found this little video on YouTube. It has almost 5 million views. And it is called, I'm just going to read the title here. 1,000 T-Rex versus 80,000 chickens, Ultimate Battle Simulator. And it's just a video simulating a battle between 1,000 T-Rexes and 80,000 chickens. And it's like changing perspectives. We start off the battle and it's 25 minutes long. We start off the battle from the perspective of the chicken. And then we sort of get like a zoom out. We get like an overhead. And you have to watch to find out.
You can't do that to us, Anna. Who wins?
You really?
I do want to know.
Wait, no, don't tell. I want to have that.
Earmuffs if you don't want to know who wins.
Okay.
The T-Rexes win.
Hell yeah.
Makes sense.
Maybe I like chickens.
Yeah, but it did get me thinking, how many chickens would it take?
Oh, to bring down 1,000 T-Rexes?
Yeah.
I mean, if Zelda is any indication, not a lot.
Right. I think like 4 mean chickens could probably take them all out. Yeah, there's no doubt about it.
I mean, how many meteors are in this scenario? Because that could change the balance.
Like
0,
the chickens can summon the meteors, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you know, Leo, that the dinosaurs died from the meteors because there was like the perfect number of meteors that hit the Earth and they all hit the dinosaurs right in the head? So it was like they're all getting shot in the skull and they were all just taken out.
Just a bunch of coconut-sized meteors that knocked them all out.
Yep. And they all lost their memory of how to eat as dinosaurs. We get a load of this from the community in the Discord every single week. This week, Dory submitted one, Dory THPS. And it's a tweet from Grant Kirkhope, who composed the outro music for the MinnMax show, friend of the show. And Grant Kirkhope tweeted, I was reading that Brie Larson got turned down for lots of big roles before getting Captain Marvel. I think it's just the way it goes. You just have to forget it and get on with the next one. Before I got the job at Rare, Argonaut, Software Creations, Eurocom, and somewhere else turned me down. And since leaving Rare, I got turned down by Rockstar, Microsoft, Valve twice, Riot, Sledgehammer, and a couple more that I'm blanking on. So don't get down about failing. Everyone fails all the time. Pick yourself up and go for it.
That's nice.
Nice message.
Wow.
I think that's
Rockstar.
fun. Yeah, like the Grant Kirkhope Rockstar game or the Valve game twice. Like I know in that final hours of Half-Life Alyx, they talk about kind of like a more lighthearted kiddie VR game they were making. I wonder if maybe that's what Grant Kirkhope was doing, or maybe it's just we shouldn't pigeonhole Grant Kirkhope as the Banjo-Kazooie guy, you know? I mean, he composed the Kingdoms of Amalur. He clearly has a lot of range. But I was just thinking about like it's nice to be open with not getting jobs. Like I was turned down for several jobs, you know, like I applied to work at Polygon. I think it was for like Simone's position. I did not get that. I applied to work at Giant Bomb years ago. I did not get that. There's plenty of, applications throughout the years that did not go well.
Yeah. Polygon
and
went nowhere
basically
for
being
me.
a freelancer is... Oh, sorry, go ahead, Leo.
I was just going to say, Polygon also never got back to me. Giant Bomb, I got to the point of like interviewing and talking to people, but didn't get it.
Yeah. How'd that interview go?
I was very nervous.
Yeah.
But might have gone okay.
Were you like, you seem like a guy who, when you're nervous, you get quieter. I think I get louder when I'm nervous.
Yeah, definitely get quieter. If I want to tell the whole story.
Sure.
So that was after my Games Are Dumb for Kids days. They said they had watched a few of those videos, and I collaborated with Joe Buckles on that. He had said before the interview, hey, you can take credit for anything. Like anything that would help, you can just say you did it.
That's nice.
and he did all the effects. And Vinny asked who did the effects on that video, which was, whichever one we were talking about. And I said, me, in a panicked moment. And there was a little lull there, and I think he knew, because in the credits, it said Joe did it. And I wonder how much that screwed me, looking like a big liar.
That's hilarious. Oh, like, Vinny is one of my favorite people ever in life, and also just listening to a podcast, the idea of like disappointing Vinny would be like disappointing 1,000 fathers in one.
Oh, it's kept me up at night, no doubt.
Oh my God, that's terrifying. Sorry, Jill, you're talking about freelance world.
Just that, like, being a freelancer is a study in and being turned down and being, even as an intern, I remember one of your questions for going out was like, how many of your ideas like actually make it, like what percentage? And I was like 0.0001.
Yeah.
It's just like you just throw things against the wall and hope it sticks. And like there's really, that is the path. Like that's not failing. That is going in the right direction. So like that's a great message. Like failure is not a bad thing.
Yeah. Well, that's nice. If we could leave you with one thing, it's that failure is not a bad thing. Jill, anything you'd like to plug?
Catch me over Screen Rant gaming news.
Yeah.
I love games, and I hope everyone does too. So come over and check out what I think about things that are happening.
That sounds very good. I will plug our Patreon exclusive podcast, MinnMax, with Kyle, where he talks about his new job, what he thinks about it, what he's learning, all that fun stuff. And it's also just a great time to talk to the community for several hours. And thanks to everybody that called in at that MinnMax Council tier. And we have an episode of Better Quest on Monday, by the way, which is another call-in show. This is the one with Jeff Cork, where we set personal goals. We'll be setting personal goals for October. So if you want to set a personal goal or just talk to Jeff Cork and I, you can jump up to that MinnMax Council tier and call in on Monday, October 5th at 6 p.m. Central. Leo, do you have something to plug?
Oh, I was just going to say Watch Dogs Legion Watch Later will be up now or soon for patrons, and then this Friday for everybody else. And that'll be fun. But I mostly wanted to say, having that quote at the end about failure not being a bad thing, full circle with the roguelike conversation earlier, I think that was just brilliant. Just a brilliant move.
Thanks,
That
man.
was planned. That was definitely planned.
Very smart. Yeah, very smart podcast structure. Anna, do you have something to plug?
Follow me on Twitter at Pokachi, Chee. And then I feel like I should announce that we had some difficulties. I was very stressed. It's been a hard week, y'all. We will not be having a refresh this week. But I am working super duper hard to email as many people as possible, so that I can really just get some great guests for y'all.
So you thinking next week when we'll just shake up the cycle and go for a refresh next week?
Yeah.
Okay. I think that sounds good.
That works. Yeah.
Sweet. And thanks to the following Patreon supporters for their generous support of MinnMax at the $50 tier. You can get on this list too if you support us at that level. Thanks to the Bambox, Rob Hudak, I'm 8-Bit Jawarhello, Mirko Arico-Torreno, Tyler Thorney, Zachary Pligge, Rebekah Lang, BeatenDownBrian, Bryan with a Y, IanTClark, Mark Seliga, Captain Stubbs 1, Ludwig Roque, Andrew Vala, Kris, Jesse Vitelli, Thomas Hoster, Snake24, Yarrow, William Garcia, SpiralInYourEyes, Richard Smuts, JT Fels, Spider Dan, Steve Bamdad, and Alex Payne. Thank you so much, everybody. Be good, have fun, let's go.